Chapter 4593. The celestial race 5th level God Lord Elder was enveloped by Chiyo's pillar of light and fell into an illusion, a dazed look appearing in his eyes. Lu Ming would not let go of such an opportunity. As one with the spear, he pierced through the celestial race elder's forehead and annihilated his soul, slaying him on the spot. Just like that, 2 5th level God Lords were killed by Lu Ming and Chiyo. The remaining 10 some celestial race God Lords were almost scared to death. Retreat! Retreat and find Lord Tianshou! Let's go! The remaining 10 some God Lords roared as they retreated toward the ancestral mountain. Want to leave? Lu Ming revealed a cold killing intent as he charged at the 10 some celestial race God Lords. Chiyo once again transformed into a halberd and slashed down. The two of them were so fast that they caught up to the celestial race experts in the blink of an eye. Scatter! Scatter! Let's split up! A 4th level God Lord roared. Suddenly, the dozen or so heavenly humans scattered and fled in all directions. Primordial desolate style! Lu Ming's hands quickly formed a seal, and a massive continent formed and pressed down. The continent was so massive that it covered the sky and engulfed the celestial race experts. Attack together! Attack together and break open this continent! The celestial race experts roared as they attacked together, unleashing 10 some attacks on the primordial desolate continent. Boom! 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 The continent fiercely shuddered, and cracks appeared on its surface. Finally it exploded. Lu Ming had made the continent too large, and its power was too scattered. It was not very strong, so it was defeated. But only 5 people managed to charge out. These 5 people were all at the 3rd or 4th level of the Divine Master realm. As for those below 3rd level God Lords, they did not have the strength to do so. They were all heavily injured and coughing up blood. Some 1st level Divine Masters were even killed by the shockwaves. Even though the primordial desolate style was too large and scattered, it was not something that 1st level or 2nd level God Lords could block. Thish! Thish! The war god's spear trembled, and 5 or 6 spear lights shot toward the injured 1st level or 2nd level God Lords. These people were already injured and unable to resist at all. They were all killed one after another. On the other side, Chiyo's halberd slashed down, aiming at a 4th layer Divine Master expert. Chiyo's current battle prowess was even stronger than that old man at the 5th level of the Divine Master realm, let alone this 4th level Divine Master. Although this person did his best to block, the result was that his main weapon was broken, and his entire person was cleaved into 2, dying on the spot. After a wave of attacks from Lu Ming and Chiyo, only 4 of the Celestial Clan's Divine Master realm experts were left. 1 4th level Divine Master and 3 3rd level Divine Masters. They spread out in 4 directions and flew at full speed. Lu Ming frowned. It was obviously impossible to kill all of them. After all, the other party's speed was not slow. Furthermore, they had split up, so it would be difficult to catch them all in one go. I'll go after that 4th layer Divine Master. Lu Ming set his sights on the last 4th layer Divine Master, and used the greater teleportation technique to chase after him. As for Chiyo, it chased after a 3rd level Divine Master. Lu Ming cast the transference skill. His speed was extremely fast, and he constantly closed the distance between him and the 4th level Divine Master. The celestial race expert felt a chill in his heart, fear appearing on his face. Lu Ming, if you dare to kill a member of the celestial race won't let you go. The other party roared. Even now, you're still using the celestial race to threaten me? Isn't that stupid? Do you think that I'm afraid of the celestial race? Lu Ming sneered. Lord Yiling Tianshou will be here very soon. You're dead. The other party seemed to know that using the celestial race to threaten someone with a taboo body was truly stupid, so he brought up Yiling Tianshou as well. Yiling Tianshou can't even protect himself. Don't worry. After I kill you, I'll take his dog life, Lu Ming coldly said, but he did not slow down at all. The 2 sides were getting closer and closer. I'll fight you to the death, the other party roared, as if he knew that he could not escape. He suddenly turned around, and the power of the heavens on his body burned like flames. The other party was going all out. He burned the power of the heavens, and wanted to perish together with Lu Ming. It had to be said that a fourth-level Divine Master Heavenly Human was a great threat. Lu Ming had to be careful. Great binding technique, great sealing technique, great binding technique. In an instant, Lu Ming used dozens of ancient secret skills to trap the enemy. They transformed into densely packed rays of light that shrouded the other party. Then, the primitive style was activated, and a continent pressed down on the other party. Ah! The other party roared, going all out. Even the universe bridge was set ablaze to fight against Lu Ming. He actually managed to withstand Lu Ming's attack. However, he was also severely injured. Die, let's die together! The other party was completely crazy. A terrifying aura swelled in his body, and rings of terrifying energy spread out. He's going to self-destruct. Retreat! Lu Ming quickly retreated and set up hundreds of defenses in front of him. Boom! There was an earth-shattering explosion that was hundreds of times more powerful than the explosion of a star. Waves of terrifying energy swept out in all directions. The land was completely charred black. 1,000,000 miles away, Lu Ming appeared. His body was also charred black. Some parts of his body were tattered and bleeding. The self-destruction of a fourth-level Divine Master Heavenly Human is really powerful. I can't be careless in the future, Lu Ming warned himself. At the same time, he circulated his forbidden energy to heal his injuries. If he faced enemies in the future, he would try to kill them as quickly as possible. It would be troublesome if the other party went all out. Those heavenly humans who had been killed before had not made up their minds and were still hoping to escape. That was why Lu Ming and the others had killed them quickly. They did not have time to self-destruct. However, that heavenly human knew that he could not escape. He stopped fighting and decided to self-destruct. That was why he succeeded. Lu Ming, why are you in such a sorry state? At this moment, Qiu returned and looked at Lu Ming curiously. How are you? Did you kill the heavenly human? Lu Ming quickly changed the topic. I killed one. The other two ran away. I can't catch up, Qiu said. Those two should have gone to the ancestral mountain. Let's go to the ancestral mountain. Yiling Tianshou, it should be about time, Lu Ming said, killing intent flashing in his eyes. It was time to end things with Yiling Tianshou. The two flew toward the ancestral mountain. At this moment, between the first and second mountain ranges, Yiling Tianshou was still refining the black mist. However, his current state was too poor. He was so thin that he was only skin and bones. It was as if his flesh and blood had been sucked away. His aura was also many times weaker than before. Ah! Why? Why can't I refine this black mist? Why? Yiling Tianshou roared in his heart. At the same time, he felt deep fear. Was he going to die here? Chapter 4594. Shouted Yiling Tianshou. He couldn't accept it. His father was a powerful celestial Zun of the Heavenly Palace. He had a high status in the Heavenly Palace. He could do whatever he wanted. Besides, he had also obtained great fortune. He had obtained a large amount of ice fire star silver in this continent. That much ice fire star silver could be exchanged for an immeasurable amount of wealth. His future was bright. He didn't want to die. Now, he only hoped that Lu Ming would be captured so that he could obtain the antidote from Lu Ming. Indeed, he thought that it was a deadly poison and that Lu Ming should have the antidote. Master Tianshou, what should we do? Master Tianshou is dying! The heavenly human tribe cultivators who only had the strength of the ninth great supreme god layer were extremely anxious. You come here. I have something for you to do, said Yiling Tianshou hoarsely. Master Tianshou, please tell us what to do. The heavenly human tribe cultivators of the ninth great supreme god layer approached Yiling Tianshou. When the heavenly human tribe cultivators got close to Yiling Tianshou suddenly attacked. He raised his two hands and two waves of terrifying strength pressed down on the heavenly human tribe cultivators like a millstone. Even though Yiling Tianshou was being tortured by the black fog, he was still much stronger than the heavenly human tribe cultivators of the ninth great supreme god layer. Under the pressure of this power, the bodies of the heavenly human tribe members began to explode and turn into a bloody mess. "Swallow them!" shouted Yiling Tianshou. His body suddenly swelled up and he turned into a giant. He opened his mouth and swallowed all the flesh and blood. At that moment, Yiling Tianshou looked like a demon. He wanted to use the flesh and blood to resist the black fog's corrosion. As expected, after absorbing the flesh and blood, his body became a little fuller because the black fog seemed to have found a new target. "He's crazy! He's crazy! Yiling Tianshou is crazy! Run!" The remaining heavenly human tribe cultivators shouted in fear and ran away. There were more than 200 heavenly human tribe cultivators of the ninth great supreme god layer. Yiling Tianshou had only killed 100 of them. "You won't be able to escape. It's your honor to sacrifice yourself for me. Die!" shouted Yiling Tianshou, and he attacked the heavenly human tribe cultivators of the ninth great supreme god layer. The heavenly human tribe cultivators' miserable cries. Yiling Tianshou had finally killed all the heavenly human tribe cultivators of the ninth great supreme god layer, and swallowed their flesh and blood. Yiling Tianshou roared in his heart. At this moment, his gaze was looking forward. In front of him, there were two figures who were looking at him in horror. These two people were the fish that had escaped the net from Lu Ming and Qiuqiu. They were both third-tier Divine Master experts. The two of them fled back to the ancestral mountain. Initially, they wanted to ask Yiling Tianshou to kill Lu Ming. However, they did not expect to see Yiling Tianshou killing other members of the heavenly human race as soon as they returned. The two of them were so scared that they stopped in their tracks, not daring to approach. Yiling Tianshou's eyes were bloodshot. The two heavenly human tribe cultivators paled. One of them said, "Lord Tianshou, there's something wrong with your body. We should keep our distance." The two heavenly human tribe cultivators retreated a bit, keeping their distance from Yiling Tianshou. Yiling Tianshou's eyes flashed with a vicious light, but he didn't attack the two heavenly human tribe cultivators. Ninth great supreme god layer cultivators couldn't compare to a third great supreme god layer cultivator. In his current state, he might not be able to catch up to them. "Why are you back? Where's Lu Ming? Did you take him down? Hurry and bring him here," Yiling Tianshou asked. This was what he was most concerned about. As long as he could take down Lu Ming, he would be able to get the antidote from Lu Ming. "Lord Tianshou, that Lu Ming and that metallic life form are too strong and cunning. We failed. The others are dead. Only the two of us are left," a heavenly human tribe cultivator of the third great supreme god layer said. "What?" Yiling Tianshou trembled like a bolt from the blue. More than a dozen heavenly human tribe cultivators were dead. Only the two of them were left. Most importantly, it didn't matter if they were dead, but if they couldn't capture Lu Ming, where would he get the antidote? Damn it! Damn it! Trash! A bunch of trash! Yiling Tianshou roared furiously. He was about to go crazy. He was going crazy! Although he had just devoured the flesh of more than 200 heavenly human tribe cultivators of the ninth great supreme god layer, they were only ninth great supreme god layer cultivators. Even a few dozen of them couldn't compare to a heavenly human tribe cultivator. He couldn't hold on for much longer. His aura started to weaken again, and his body, which had been a little fuller, started to shrivel up again. This scene was extremely horrifying. The two heavenly human tribe cultivators couldn't help but retreat a little more. "Where is Lu Ming? Take me to him! Take me to him!" Yiling Tianshou roared hysterically. In that direction. The two heavenly human tribe cultivators didn't dare to leave Yiling Tianshou behind. Yiling Tianshou's status was no small matter. If they dared to leave him behind, it would be fine if Yiling Tianshou died, but if he was still alive, their fates would be miserable. "Let's go!" Yi Ling Tianshou roared and rushed in that direction. The two heavenly human tribe cultivators followed from a distance. They didn't fly very far before they ran into Lu Ming. Yi Ling Tianshou is still alive! Lu Ming was surprised to see Yi Ling Tianshou. He had wanted to return to the ancestral mountain to see if Yi Ling Tianshou was still alive. He hadn't expected to run into Yi Ling Tianshou on the way. Lu Ming, hand over the antidote, quick! Yi Ling Tianshou roared. Antidote? I've hidden it somewhere not far from here. Lu Ming started to lie to stall for time. The longer he delayed, the better it would be for him. I hid it! Come with me to get it! Yi Ling Tianshou roared. Okay, come with me, but keep a distance from me. Otherwise, don't even think about getting the antidote, Lu Ming said as he retreated. As long as he led Yi Ling Tianshou around twice, Yi Ling Tianshou would be dead for sure. Kid, are you trying to trick me? Are you trying to stall for time? The antidote must be on you. Hand it over or die, Yi Ling Tianshou roared. He was smart, and wouldn't be fooled so easily. As he roared, he tried to force Lu Ming to leave. I said, come with me, and I'll give you the antidote. Lu Ming sped up and retreated. He naturally wouldn't tell Yi Ling Tianshou that there was no antidote. If he did, he would cut off Yi Ling Tianshou's hope. Without hope, he was afraid that Yi Ling Tianshou would go all out. For an expert like Yi Ling Tianshou, who had an extraordinary background, once he went all out, who knew what would happen? Lu Ming wasn't sure either. But as long as there was hope for the antidote, Yi Ling Tianshou wouldn't go all out. Chapter 4595. As long as I take you down, let's see if you hand it over or not, Yi Ling Tianshou roared. He was very decisive and charged towards Lu Ming at an extremely shocking speed. As long as he took down Lu Ming, he would be able to take the initiative. Even if Lu Ming really hid the antidote somewhere, he could force Lu Ming to lead the way. If Lu Ming hid the antidote on him, that would be even better. At this moment, as it concerned his life, Yi Ling Tianshou attacked with all his strength. The violent heavenly punishment force and heavenly extermination force surged towards Lu Ming like a tide. Heaven-piercing! Lu Ming waved the war god's spear, forming dozens of spear shadows that pierced forward. At the same time, Qiuqiu also turned into a halberd and slashed forward. Rumble! The power of both sides collided in the void, erupting into bursts of rumbling. Following that, Lu Ming and Qiuqiu's figures drifted back, but that was all. They were not injured. Yi Ling Tianshou, it seems that you don't have much strength left, Lu Ming sneered. Damn it! Yi Ling Tianshou roared in his heart, his expression extremely ugly. He was corroded too much by the black mist, and his strength was much weaker than when he was at his peak. Moreover, when he attacked, he still had to divert a portion of his strength to resist the black mist, otherwise, the corrosion would be faster. In this way, the strength he could exert would be even less. The move just now could only push back Lu Ming and Qiuqiu, but it could not injure Lu Ming and Qiuqiu. I don't believe it, kill! Yi Ling Tianshou roared and wanted to use more strength to attack, but his body immediately trembled and his face turned pale. As soon as he used more strength, the strength to resist the black mist was not enough. The black mist corroded even more, causing him to suffer heavy losses. Qiuqiu, do it! Lu Ming sent a voice transmission to Qiuqiu. Then, with a wave of his hand, the war god's spear flew out like a bolt of lightning. At the same time, Lu Ming used the Great Desolation style. A continent pressed down on Yi Ling Tianshou. The continent was compressed very small by Lu Ming, and its power was also at its strongest state. At the same time, the halberd formed by Qiuqiu once again slashed at Yi Ling Tianshou. The two of them went all out, unleashing their strongest attacks. How could Yi Ling Tianshou dare to be careless? He could only block. He let out a long howl and unleashed several hundred palm strikes consecutively with the power of heavenly extermination and heavenly punishment in one hand, blocking Lu Ming and Qiuqiu's attacks. However, every time he attacked, he would consume a large amount of energy. Naturally, The power suppressing the black fog would weaken, and the black fog would take the opportunity to corrode him. After a round of confrontation, Yiling Tianqiu became even weaker. Lu Ming had naturally seen through this, which was why he had launched an attack with Qiuqiu. As long as he attacked, Yiling Tianqiu would die even faster. Again! Lu Ming shouted and launched another attack. Yiling Tianqiu was furious, but he had no choice but to block. If he didn't block and let the black fog corrode him, he would be directly killed by Lu Ming and Qiuqiu. After a few rounds of continuous attacks, Yiling Tianqiu was very weak. Black fog constantly overflowed from the surface of his body. Black fog also overflowed from his mouth, nose, and eyes. His entire person looked like a zombie. Lu Ming, give me the antidote, quickly give me the antidote. My father is a celestial venerable of the heavenly palace. If I die, he won't let you off. Yiling Tianqiu roared and began to threaten Lu Ming. But Lu Ming was clearly unmoved and continued to attack. Lu Ming, don't kill me. As long as you let me go, I can give you whatever you want. Treasures, divine pills, beautiful women, I can give them all to you. I can even give you ice fire star silver. 100 kilograms, no, 500 kilograms, I can give it all to you. Seeing that his threat failed, Yiling Tianqiu tried to bribe Lu Ming again. As long as I kill you, all the treasures on you will be mine. Lu Ming sneered. Bastard, despicable ant, you want to kill me? Dream on. Let me tell you, if I die, this continent will be destroyed. Countless people from the Yan clan will die. They will all be buried with me. Seeing that Lu Ming was unmoved, Yiling Tianqiu went crazy and shouted hysterically. Here's the chance. Qiuqiu, illusion! Lu Ming transmitted his voice to Qiuqiu. How could Qiuqiu not know Lu Ming's intention? It immediately turned into a mirror and shot out a beam of light that enveloped Yiling Tianqiu. Yiling Tianqiu's eyes immediately became dazed and lifeless. Swoosh! Lu Ming became one with the spear and turned into a beam of spear light that pierced towards Yiling Tianqiu's forehead. Just as Lu Ming was about to pierce Yiling Tianqiu's eyes suddenly emitted a dazzling light. His body also erupted with a terrifying fluctuation. Not good, retreat! Without hesitation, Lu Ming stopped his body abruptly, and then retreated rapidly to the back. Lu Ming, die! Let's die together! Yiling Tianqiu roared and a violent force swept towards Lu Ming. Lu Ming's body shook violently and he spurted out a mouthful of blood. However, Lu Ming also used this force to retreat faster. He retreated to Qiuqiu's side and grabbed Qiuqiu. He used the greater teleportation technique and instantly appeared in the distance. Lu Ming, let's die together, let's die together! In the distance, Yiling Tianqiu roared and rushed towards Lu Ming crazily. Yiling Tianqiu really went crazy and went all out. His whole body was on the verge of self-destruction. The power that erupted was close to his peak. However, he didn't really make up his mind to self-destruct just now. He was only on the verge of self-destruction. Although he injured Lu Ming, he didn't leave Lu Ming behind. You can play by yourself. I'm not going to accompany you. Lu Ming had already seen that Yiling Tianqiu was about to die. He was too lazy to make a move now. He pulled away from Yiling Tianqiu and waited for him to be completely corroded by the black fog. Don't go, let's die together, let's die together! Yiling Tianqiu roared and chased after Lu Ming crazily. He already knew that he couldn't survive and was on the verge of self-destruction. His strength had almost reached the limit, but the black fog also took the opportunity to corrode him. His flesh and blood essence was almost exhausted, and his soul was also in a state of collapse. He could die at any time. Now, even if there was an antidote, it might not be useful. He wanted to find Lu Ming and perish together. Unfortunately, Lu Ming would no longer give him the chance to do so. Lu Ming kept retreating, pulling away from Yiling Tianqiu. No matter how Yiling Tianqiu roared, he couldn't be bothered with him. What should we do? Lord Tianqiu is about to die. In the distance, 2 third-layer Divine Master experts were watching. They didn't dare to get close. If they got close now, they would either die at the hands of Lu Ming or Yiling Tianqiu. They weren't that stupid. What else can we do? Yiling Tianshou is dead for sure. Let's leave quickly, the other person said. If we leave now, do we return to the heavenly palace or? The person in front asked. Returning to the heavenly palace is courting death. Everyone else is dead, including Yiling Tianshou. Do you think Yiling Tianshou's father will let us go? Let's leave this place and find a place to hide, the other person said. Then, the two of them flashed and left the place. Lu Ming naturally noticed that the two of them had left, but they were very far away from him. Now that they had retreated, he couldn't catch up even if he wanted to. He could only let them leave. Chapter 4596. A few minutes later, the aura on Yiling Tianshou's body suddenly weakened rapidly. The violent power all over his body also rapidly dried up and disappeared like a balloon. Bang! In the end, Yiling Tianshou's body fell to the ground and broke into pieces. However, he was not dead yet. His soul had not been completely annihilated. He let out a final roar. Lu Ming, my father knows that I'm here. If I die, he will find me. Even if you can leave, all the Yan tribe will be buried with me. Ha! Yiling Tianshou laughed loudly. Then, his soul and his broken body completely exploded with a bang, turning into ashes. Huff! Lu Ming let out a long breath. To be honest, this Yiling Tianshou was really very difficult to deal with. High cultivation and strength was one reason. He was also very smart. Some schemes would not work in front of him and would be seen through. However, the other party was still a step behind and lost to Lu Ming in the end. The main reason was that the other party did not expect Lu Ming to have something like the black fog in his hands. Logically speaking, reaching Yiling Tianshou's level, plus having two kinds of supreme heavenly power holding down the fort, there was no poison in the primitive universe that could scare him. Therefore, he did not guard against this move. The other was also that kind of black fog. It was too terrifying. When fighting with Lu Ming, Yiling Tianshou's fist was covered with supreme heavenly power. Even if Lu Ming wanted to use any powerful poison, it would be blocked or even refined by the power of the fist. It could not enter Yiling Tianshou's body at all. However, that kind of black fog could directly ignore Yiling Tianshou's power and seep into his body. Therefore, Yiling Tianshou was defeated. Lu Ming won somewhat by luck, but in the end, he still won, didn't he? Lu Ming flew over and saw the storage ring left behind by Yiling Tianshou. He grabbed the storage ring in his hand. That kind of black fog seemed to only corrode flesh, and did not have any corrosive effect on storage rings. It's a pity that the black fog dissipated too, Lu Ming sighed. This kind of black fog was very powerful. If he could keep it, it would be of great use at a critical moment. For example, when dealing with Yiling Tianshou, if he did not have this black fog, Lu Ming would definitely not be able to do anything to him. This black fog was not only effective against Yiling Tianshou, it was also effective against people with stronger cultivations. However, as Yiling Tianshou was annihilated, the black mist also dissipated. However, Lu Ming's mood became better very quickly. His gaze landed on the storage ring left behind by Yiling Tianshou, his two eyes shining. This was Yiling Tianshou's storage ring. How many treasures would there be inside? Most importantly, how much ice fire star silver was inside? Lu Ming could not wait any longer. Lu Ming activated the taboo energy to erase the taboo energy that Yiling Tianshou had left on the storage ring. Then, he began to examine it. After a while, the smile on Lu Ming's face was uncontrollably revealed. I'm rich. I'm really rich. Lu Ming found a large amount of icy fire star silver in his storage ring. The total amount was more than 1,500 kilograms. 1,500 kilograms, that was enough to refine 1,500 source-grade divine weapons. As long as he had this ice fire star silver, he would not have to worry about it in the future. Because the Heaven Destroyer had not found so many materials for refining source-level divine weapons for so many years. 1,500 kilograms of ice fire star silver. If the upper echelons of the Heavenly Palace knew about it, they would probably go crazy. Now, it had all fallen into Lu Ming's hands. This amount was a little more than Lu Ming had expected. Although the heavenly human race had occupied this continent for tens of thousands of years, it was obvious that they did not start mining the ice fire star silver from the beginning. The years of mining the ice fire star silver were not very long. Otherwise, the 36 mines, after tens of thousands of years, the amount would definitely be more than 1,500 kilograms. In fact, the total content of the ice fire star silver from the 36 mines was only about 2,000 kilograms, which was already an astronomical figure. Lu Ming had learned that the 36 mines were not mined at the same time. At the beginning, one was found, and then the second, the third. By now, the 36 ice fire star silver mines were about to be finished. In the storage ring, the ice fire star silver mine was the most valuable. Although there were some other treasures, Lu Ming did not care about them. Lu Ming would only be interested in Kaith's crystals, source-level divine weapons, or broken source-level divine weapons. However, there were no source-level divine weapons or broken source-level divine weapons in the storage ring, not even a piece of Kaith's crystal. Obviously, Yiling Tianshou must have refined the chaos crystal immediately after getting it. What a waste! Lu Ming muttered. Then his figure flashed, and he put away the storage rings of the other heavenly human race. Then, Lu Ming re-entered the Mountain of Ancestors. Lu Ming stood at the foot of the second mountain range. The second lifeline of the Mountain of Ancestors had also been cut off by Yiling Tianshou and the others, and a cave was dug in the mountain. As soon as it was opened, Lu Ming arrived. The people of the heavenly human race did not have time to go in. Lu Ming did not hesitate and stepped into the second mountain range. The second mountain range and the third mountain range also formed a canyon. Lu Ming glanced around, and a trace of joy appeared on his face. Because, like the first mountain range, the walls of the second mountain range were also inlaid with chaos crystals. At a glance, there were no less than 1,000 chaos crystals, more than the first mountain range. Chiu, let's go! Lu Ming shouted, took out his weapon, rushed up, and began to dig for the chaos crystals. Now that the heavenly human race was gone, Lu Ming was not in such a hurry. He dug with Chiu unhurriedly. Soon, all the chaos crystals on the second mountain range were dug out by Lu Ming. Not a single piece was left. Lu Ming counted. There were a total of 1998 pieces, close to 2,000 pieces. It was a lot more than the primordial crystals in the first mountain range. Indeed, for this continent to be able to flourish like this, it must contain a lot of desolate crystals. I reckon that every lifeline contains a sizable amount of desolate crystals. I have only dug out the first 2 mountain ranges. It should not affect the growth of the stellar sky continent. Lu Ming thought. The stellar sky continent needed energy to reproduce. And the chaos crystals would constantly emit energy to affect the continent. If all the chaos crystals were dug out, it would definitely affect the development of the continent, and it might even become a dead continent. However, Lu Ming only dug out the chaos crystals on 2 lifelines, so it would not affect the development of the continent. After all, there were still 7 lifelines. Furthermore, from the looks of it, the lifelines contained more and more desolate crystals than the previous one. Moreover, there must be some chaos crystals under the continent, but they were very scattered and difficult to find. Unfortunately, even with these chaos crystals, it is not enough for me to break through. I need more chaos crystals. Lu Ming sighed. Chapter 4597. There were nearly 2,000 chaos crystals, and he had refined 600 of them. If it were anyone else, they could easily break through to the 3rd level of the Divine Master Realm. However, Lu Ming couldn't. He needed more energy. It's a pity that I can't go deeper into the Ancestral Mountain. Otherwise, it would be great if I could get some more chaos crystals. Lu Ming looked at the 3rd lifeline and muttered. However, he couldn't do what the heavenly human tribe did, borrowing the power of faith from the Yen tribe, or even using the flesh of the Yen tribe to sever the lifeline. That went against his principles. He would rather give up the opportunity than do that. Right, let Hai Zong come out and take a look. Lu Ming's heart stirred. He thought of the sea sect. Hai Zong had fused with the red stone. Perhaps he could find something. He waved his hand and brought Hai Zong out. After Hai Zong came out, he looked at Lu Ming with more admiration and respect than when he looked at a god. Lu Ming actually carried a world with him. Moreover, this world was vast and boundless. Hai Zong kept flying but couldn't see the end. Moreover, the cultivation environment of this world was much better than the stellar sky continent. Carrying such a world with him, Lu Ming's image in Hai Zong's heart was infinitely higher. Brother Lu Ming, is this the ancestral mountain? Hai Zong came out and adjusted himself. He looked around, and his muscles couldn't help but tense up. He was obviously very nervous. That was because the ancestral mountain was occupied by the heavenly human tribe. Don't worry, I've eliminated the heavenly human tribe, Lu Ming said. He's been eliminated. Hai Zong was a little confused and then shocked. The heavenly human tribe was eliminated by Lu Ming? Lu Ming's image in his heart continued to rise. Seeing Hai Zong's admiring gaze, Lu Ming couldn't help but touch his nose speechlessly. You're a man. Why are you looking at me like that? Awkward. Lu Ming wouldn't mind if it were a beauty. By the way, Hai Zong, what did you find after entering the ancestral mountain? Lu Ming changed the topic. Sure enough, when the ancestral mountain was mentioned, Sea Sect immediately became spirited and continued to look around. At the same time, Hai Zong's body became somewhat fiery red. His blood flowed faster, and wisps of blood chi permeated the air. Finally, a figure wearing a royal robe and a crown condensed above his head. It held a royal sword in its hand, and it looked extremely majestic. Is this the lifeline? Hai Zong looked at the third lifeline and walked over. When he was in front of it, he stretched out his hand and placed it on top of it. A miraculous scene appeared. The third lifeline began to ripple like water. Then, the patriarch's hand sank in. It was as if the third lifeline was empty and had really turned into water. This is... Even Lu Ming was taken aback. The lifeline of the ancestral mountain was fused with the other mountain ranges, but now, the rocks of the third mountain range seemed to have turned into water. Hai Zong took another step forward, and his entire arm seemed to sink in. Hai Zong's eyes darted around a few times, then he took a few steps back and pulled his arm out of the lifeline. What's going on, Hai Zong? Lu Ming quickly asked. Brother Lu Ming, I have a feeling that we can pass through the lifeline and enter the depths of the ancestral mountain without destroying it, Hai Zong said. It's possible? Lu Ming was shocked at first, but then he was overjoyed. If they could enter the depths of the ancestral mountain without destroying the lifeline, wouldn't they be able to obtain the opportunities in the ancestral mountain? Unfortunately, he couldn't go in. Brother Lu Ming, I can take you with me. Maybe we can go in together, Hai Zong said again. Lu Ming was a little surprised. Can you take me with you? I can try, but I think it's possible. Hai Zong nodded, and the blood chi on his body became denser. It slowly extended and shrouded Lu Ming. Brother Lu Ming, follow me. We'll move together, Hai Zong said. Lu Ming nodded and walked with Hai Zong toward the third lifeline. When Hai Zong's body came into contact with the third lifeline rippled like water. Hai Zong's body also sank into it as if he had entered water. After a few steps, Hai Zong's body had completely submerged into the third lifeline. Then, Lu Ming followed and came into contact with the third lifeline. Just like Hai Zong, when Lu Ming came into contact with the third lifeline, his body also sank into the third lifeline as if he had entered water. It really works! Lu Ming was delighted. Soon, Lu Ming's body completely disappeared into the third lifeline. They walked through the third mountain peak as if they were walking in water. The hard rock seemed to have turned into water. Lu Ming knew that this must have something to do with Hai Zong's bloodline and the Crimson Stone. Soon, the two of them passed through the third lifeline and arrived at the valley formed by the third and fourth lifelines. There really are desolation crystals. Lu Ming looked at the third lifeline and saw a large number of desolation crystals embedded in it. At a glance, there were no less than a few thousand of them. They were as dazzling as stars. As expected, there are more desolation crystals in each lifeline. There should be 4,000 here. There must be more inside. It should be fine if I take some. Lu Ming thought, then took out his weapon and began to dig. However, when Lu Ming's weapon hit the wall glowed. With a clang, Lu Ming was pushed back by a force and almost vomited blood. No, with the power of the lifeline protecting it, I can't dig it out. Lu Ming shook his head. Brother Lu Ming, do you need these crystals? Hai Zong asked. Yes, these crystals are very important to me. Lu Ming nodded. Then I can take some for you, Hai Zong said. He stretched out his hand and gently grabbed at the crystals. It was like grabbing a piece of wood floating in water. The desolation crystals were taken out by Hai Zong. Lu Ming was envious. This was too easy. Hai Zong, you don't have to take all of these crystals. Just half is enough, Lu Ming said. He was thinking for the Heavenly Star continent. If he took all of them, it would affect the population of the Heavenly Star continent. Hai Zong nodded and quickly took out the crystals. Soon, around 2,000 desolation crystals were taken out and given to Lu Ming. There are around 4,000 crystals. It should be enough for me to reach third-level Divine Lord. A smile appeared on Lu Ming's face. The two of them continued to look around. When they didn't find anything else, they continued on to the fourth lifeline. Just like before, they passed through the fourth lifeline like a ripple and arrived at the valley formed by the fourth and fifth lifeline. As expected, the fourth lifeline was also embedded with a large number of desolation crystals. It was twice as many as the third lifeline. Chapter 4598. Lu Ming was tempted and planned to take more. It would be a waste if he didn't take some of the desolate crystals. Lu Ming asked Hai Zong to help and took half of the crystals. Half of them, a total of 4,000 primordial crystals, landed in Lu Ming's hands. In that case, Lu Ming had a total of 8,000 primeval crystals. I'm rich. If there are twice as many desolate crystals as there are outside, even if I only take half of them, it's still a lot. Lu Ming pondered. Soon, they continued to move towards the fifth lifeline. They passed through without any obstruction. True enough, during the internal testing of the fifth lifeline, there were more primordial crystals. There were 16,000 pieces. Lu Ming got Hai Zong to take 8,000 pieces before he continued his journey. Lu Ming asked Hai Zong to take 16,000 desolate crystals in the sixth lifeline. The seventh lifeline was tested internally, and 32,000 pieces were taken out. For the internal test of the eighth lifeline, he obtained 64,000 great desolate crystals. In this way, Lu Ming had a shocking 128,000 pieces of primordial crystals. This number was absolutely shocking. Even Lu Ming would be able to clear a few rounds consecutively. A great opportunity. It's really a great opportunity. I must find a chance to go into seclusion. My cultivation will definitely improve by leaps and bounds, Lu Ming thought. Unfortunately, there were no desolate crystals in the ninth lifeline. Not a single one. However, they found a pool under the ninth lifeline's wall. There was a bright red liquid in the pool. That aura! Lu Ming and Hai Zong were shocked. Because they found that the liquid in the pool was very similar to the aura of the red stone. It was almost the same. Could it be that the red stone came from this pool? The pool emitted a hazy light. Looking at the pool, Hai Zong seemed to be half-possessed and couldn't help but step forward. Hai Zong, be careful! Lu Ming reminded Hai Zong to calm down. Big brother Lu Ming, I have a feeling that this pool will be of great help to the other party. I instinctively desire to enter this pool to cultivate. His eyes were fixed on the cistern, and a look of deep longing could be seen in his eyes. Lu Ming frowned. Perhaps this was a great lucky chance for the C faction, but he couldn't guarantee that there wouldn't be any danger. As Hai Zong finished speaking, he continued walking forwards. Lu Ming could only follow beside Hai Zong. If there was anything wrong, he could help at any time. However, when he got close, A powerful force blocked Lu Ming's path. This power was indestructible. It was not something that Lu Ming could break through. As for Hai Zong, he was completely unaffected. Hai Zong continued onward until he stepped into the blood pool. As soon as he entered the blood pool, the blood-colored liquid drilled into Hai Zong's body. Hai Zong closed his eyes, apparently absorbing and refining it. Boom! In the next moment, Hai Zong's aura skyrocketed. He broke through from the empty God realm to the true God realm. It is indeed a lucky chance. There is no danger. Lu Ming heaved a sigh of relief. He was happy for Hai Zong. After a while, Hai Zong's aura stabilized at the first level of the true God realm. He continued to absorb and refine the blood-colored liquid. Lu Ming could feel that Hai Zong's bloodline power had become stronger. The suppression on Lu Ming was also slowly increasing. Is there really a hierarchy in the human race's bloodline? Could it be that there were humans in the last era? Lu Ming's mind was filled with thoughts. However, he had too little information. No matter how much he thought, he couldn't think of anything. As time passed, Hai Zong's aura skyrocketed again. He broke through from the first level of the true God realm to the second level of the true God realm. This speed of improvement was really shocking. At the same time, Hai Zong's bloodline power seemed to have become stronger. It seems like Hai Zong won't end his cultivation in a short time, Lu Ming said in a low voice. Since Hai Zong was fine, Lu Ming looked around. He had already passed through the 9 lifelines and entered the core of the ancestral mountain. Inside, there was only a mountain peak that looked like a sharp sword. This mountain peak was the tallest, piercing through the clouds. It was taller than the other 9 lifelines. However, it occupied a very small area. It really looked like a sharp sword stabbed into the ground. There's a door! Lu Ming's eyes moved. He found that there was a stone door at the bottom of this mountain. However, the stone door was closed. Lu Ming couldn't help but be a little tempted. Inside this mountain peak was the true core of the ancestral mountain. The previous 9 lifelines surrounded this mountain peak. It was more like a kind of protection. What was inside? Was it a mountain of source-level divine weapons? Or a shocking amount of desolation crystals? Let's go in and take a look. Lu Ming decided to go in and take a look. Since he was already here, how could he not go in and take a look? However, Lu Ming would not let his guard down. The surface of his body was filled with taboo power, ready to make a move at any time. At the same time, Chiu wriggled and turned into an armor, covering Lu Ming's body. From many angles it proved that the ancestral mountain was likely passed down from the previous era. After countless years, it was still extraordinary. This was definitely not simple. Lu Ming would not be careless. He slowly approached the stone door, but there was no reaction at all. When Lu Ming walked to the stone door, there was still no abnormality. Lu Ming condensed a big hand with taboo power, pressed on the stone door, and pushed hard. With a click, the stone door opened. Lu Ming was a little stunned. All of this was simple beyond his imagination. He originally thought that it would take at least some effort. When the stone door opened, light came from inside. Looking inside, he could vaguely see that the mountain peak was empty, forming a rather large space. Finally, Lu Ming stepped out and walked through the stone door. It was still the same sentence. Since he was already here, he had to check it out. There was no abnormality or danger. Lu Ming walked through the stone door, walked through a short passage, and came to a space inside the mountain. The center of the mountain peak was hollow. The surrounding walls were very smooth, and there were lines carved on them. Not only on the walls, but on the ground as well. Countless lines intertwined, covering the entire space inside the mountain. And in the center, there was a protruding stone pillar, and on the stone pillar was a box. The box was about 1 meter in length, width, and height, and seemed to be made of bronze. It looked very simple and full of the aura of time. There were 8 altars in 8 directions around the stone pillar. There was a flame on each of the 8 altars, like a candle flame. It was not big and slowly burned. Apart from that, there was nothing else in this space inside the mountain. These lines intertwine and seem to form some kind of large array. However, this large array seems to have lost its effect. There is no reaction when I step on it. Lu Ming thought. The place he stepped on was also full of runes, but there was no reaction at all. The large array was not activated. Perhaps too many years had passed, and the large array had lost its effect. In the end, Lu Ming's gaze fell on the bronze box. Chapter 4599. The bronze chest looked simple and unadorned. It was unknown what was inside. However, there was only one chest in this mountain space. Moreover, it was placed so solemnly in the middle. The thing inside must be extraordinary. Lu Ming pondered for a moment, and finally decided to open it to take a look. However, Lu Ming did not approach it. Instead, he used his taboo energy to form two big hands, grabbing the chest and trying to open it. However, the chest did not budge. Lu Ming tried again, but the chest still did not budge. Right at this time, the bronze chest suddenly emitted a gentle light. Lu Ming was startled and quickly withdrew his taboo energy. He saw a line of words appear on the side of the chest. "Kid, don't waste your energy. You can't open it." There was no sound, only this line of words. It appeared for a few breaths of time and then disappeared. However, Lu Ming saw it clearly. There was no mistake. "Senior, may I ask who you are? Can you come out and meet me?" Lu Ming called out. "I'm right in front of you. Can't you see?" Another line appeared on the chest. Eh? Lu Ming was a little confused. He stared at the bronze chest for a while and said, "Senior, are you inside the chest?" "No, I'm this chest." Another line appeared on the chest. "It's this chest?" Lu Ming was even more confused. It turned out that this chest was alive and was actually talking to him. Could it be that this chest was a supreme treasure that had already given birth to intelligence? Various thoughts flashed through Lu Ming's mind. He asked, "So it's Senior chest. Senior, where is this place? Is it left behind from the previous era?" "Don't call me senior. I'm just a chest." Another line appeared on the chest. Lu Ming. The first line disappeared and a new line appeared. "I don't know anything else. I only know that this is the place where the human king's remains are sealed." "Human king's remains?" For some reason, Lu Ming's heart shook when he heard this. He continued to ask, "Senior, what's a human king's remains?" "The remains of the sovereign personage are the remains of the sovereign personage. Sealed in this box is an arm of the sovereign personage." A sentence appeared on the chest. "Human monarch? What does it have to do with the human race?" Lu Ming asked. He had no idea what a human king meant. Some monarchs of mortal kingdoms also called themselves human kings. However, this was clearly not a mortal emperor. The human king is the king of the human race, one of the strongest experts of the human race. He commands the endless human race and oppresses the eldritch continent. Another sentence appeared on the chest. "The great desolate continent is indeed a remnant from the previous epoch." Lu Ming's heart skipped a beat, but he immediately thought of another problem. Were there really humans in the primeval continent of the last epoch? Could it be that there are also humans in the eldritch continent? Lu Ming asked the question in his heart. Of course. Although the great desolate continent had many races, the human race was the strongest race without a doubt. Experts were as common as clouds. The human kings suppressed the entire great desolate continent, an expert who stood at the peak of the great desolate continent. However, the human king was killed later on. His soul scattered, and his corpse disintegrated, sealed in different places. This place is one of them. The words on the chest appeared and disappeared. A few sentences appeared consecutively. Lu Ming was flabbergasted. He could not recover his composure for a long time. These words gave him too much information. There were humans in the great desolate continent of the previous epoch. What shocked Lu Ming was that the human race was actually the strongest race in the great desolate continent, suppressing the other races. As for the human king, he was the king of the human race, a peak expert of the great desolate continent. Lu Ming really did not expect the human race to be so strong in the previous epoch. Could it be that the humans of the great desolate universe were all the bloodlines left behind by the humans of the previous epoch? They were the bloodlines of the experts of the previous epoch, born after the passage of time. For example, the flame race. Could it be that the flame race was born from the human king's arm? Aside from this reason, there was no other explanation. Of course, he still had to ask. Senior, could it be that the flame race of this continent was born from the human king's arm? Lu Ming asked. Are you talking about that brat outside? That's right. He was born from the bloodstains left behind by the human king's arm. Also, don't call me senior. I'm just a chest. A few more sentences appeared on the chest. The last sentence left Lu Ming speechless. So, that's how it is. The flame race was born from the bloodstains left behind by the human king's arm. In that case, were the other humans of the great desolate universe also born from the flesh and blood left behind by the experts of the previous epoch? Lu Ming's imagination ran wild. Then, he thought about how the human race was born. In that case, what about the other races of the universe? Most of the races of the universe evolved from the descendants of the various primordial gods. In that case, what about the primordial gods? Where did they come from? According to the legends of the universe, the primordial gods were born when the universe first opened. In the past, Lu Ming also thought so. But now Lu Ming had more ideas. Because the current great desolate universe was also a part of the great desolate continent of the previous epoch. In that case, were the primordial gods born naturally when the universe first opened, or were they related to the experts of the previous epoch? He thought of Gu Mo again. Gu Mo said that he was the first demon bone at the beginning of the universe. This demon bone might have been an expert of the previous epoch in his previous life. In that case, what about the primordial gods? The more Lu Ming thought about it, the more his mind opened up. Could it be that he had discovered the secret of the birth of life in the great desolate universe? However, he also thought that the heavenly human race didn't seem to have evolved from the primordial gods, and they weren't primordial gods themselves. Then, how did the heavenly human race appear? Also, the demons were the same. After a long while, Lu Ming's heart gradually calmed down. Say, well, may I ask why the great desolate continent was so prosperous in the past? Also, if the human king was so powerful, why was he killed and his body divided and sealed? Lu Ming asked. He was very curious about the great desolate continent of the previous epoch. He wanted to know what happened back then. From all the information he knew, the great desolate continent of the previous epoch was a prosperous time for cultivation. Its strength was many times stronger than the current great desolate continent and the heavenly human race. They were so powerful, so powerful. Why was it that even the great desolate continent was destroyed? Also, the human king was so powerful. Who killed him and divided his body and sealed it? Lu Ming wanted to know all these thoroughly. I don't know. He didn't expect to see such words on the box. You don't know? How can you not know? Aren't you a box left behind by the previous epoch? Lu Ming was a little anxious and asked continuously. Please, I'm just a box. Chapter 4600. Come on, I'm just a box. The box's reply was very simple. Nestle! Lu Ming wanted to curse. What could he say? What else could he say? The other party was really just a box. Could he curse at a box? Then can you teach me some chi cultivation techniques from the last era? Lu Ming asked again. No, I'm just a box. The box replied. Lu Ming was speechless. What a useless box. Then why did you let me in? You don't know anything. Lu Ming complained. First, you have to understand that I didn't let you in. You came in by yourself. The box replied. Lu Ming was speechless. In addition, you came in. You can obtain an arm of the human king. That's your supreme opportunity. Why are you complaining? The box replied again. Lu Ming's eyes immediately lit up. You're saying that I can obtain an arm of the human king, but I can't open your box at all. Look at the surroundings, it's full of rune formations. Since this formation can seal an arm of the human king, it's definitely not something I can break open, right? Lu Ming said. The human king, as the peak expert of the last era who suppressed the eldritch continent, must have unfathomable strength. It was definitely not as simple as the origin realm. Perhaps it was the legendary realm, transcendence. Transcendence beyond the universe, transcendence beyond reincarnation, true immortality. Of course, that realm was just a legend. Since the birth of the eldritch universe, no one had reached it. However, the eldritch continent of the last era was so prosperous and powerful. It was not strange that someone had reached it. As for the person who set up the array, he was able to kill the king of killers and seal his corpse. How could Lu Ming compare to him? Don't worry, too much time has passed. The sealing power has weakened too much. Moreover, you happen to be a human. You can break this sealing formation. Do you see those 8 altars? As long as you drip your blood on those flames, the flames on the altars will be extinguished. Once the flames are extinguished, the formation will be broken, and you will be able to open me and obtain the arm of the human king. Words kept appearing on the chest. Why can't you speak? Lu Ming asked. Generally speaking, whether it was a weapon or something else with spiritual intelligence, it could at least speak with its spiritual sense. Please, I'm just a box. The box answered. What else could Lu Ming say? Human blood can extinguish the flames on the 8 altars and break the seals. Is it that simple? Lu Ming asked. It's that simple. The box answered. Your original target wasn't me, he said. It must have been that C-sect disciple out there. He's also a human, and his bloodline is even purer than mine. Lu Ming asked again. That's right, but later I realized that you're actually more suitable than him. The box answered. So, everything was arranged by you. C-sect's grandpa's crimson stone was also given out by you. I'm really curious. As the box that sealed the arm of the human king, why did you let it out? Lu Ming asked. Clearly, Lu Ming didn't believe this box because there were too many suspicious points. He finally understood why C-sect's grandpa could obtain the crimson stone. It was most likely this box deliberately let it out. This box was obviously used to seal the arm of the human king. Now, it wanted to let the arm out. Wasn't that suspicious? Kid, are you doubting me? Let me tell you, my spiritual intelligence was born later. When I was born, I was already here. What does sealing the arm of the human king have to do with me? Also, the one who arranged all this was not me, but the arm of the human king. The box said. So that's how it is. Lu Ming's heart skipped a beat. The arm of the human king arranged all this. Could it be that the consciousness of the human king hasn't dissipated and is still alive? Lu Ming asked in shock. The human king is definitely dead. His soul was extinguished long ago. The arm of the human king did this out of instinct. It came from the instinct of the arm of the human king. It instinctively wanted to break free. Therefore, after the seal weakened, a trace of blood seeped out of the arm and gave birth to the Yen clan. When the Yen clan gave birth to a truly powerful genius, the arm could be released. The box said. Then why did you choose me? If C-sect came, he could also release the arm of the human king. Lu Ming asked. It's very simple. Although C-sect inherited a trace of the human king's bloodline and has great potential, he is still inferior to you. Although your human bloodline is not strong, you are strong and have boundless potential. So you are more suitable. After releasing the arm of the human king, you have an even more difficult task, which is to find the other parts of the human king's corpse and release them so that the body can return to its original position. The box said. Return the body of the human king to its original position? Why do I have to do this? This process is probably very dangerous, Lu Ming said. Although the human king was the ancestor of the human race and returning his body to its original position was something that should be done, this process was definitely very dangerous. However, this process was definitely very dangerous. It concerned his life. Lu Ming was not so foolish as to agree foolishly. Kid, it looks like you still don't know the importance of the human king's body. The human king was too powerful. Although he is dead and his soul has been extinguished, the body he left behind is indestructible. If you can return his body to its original position and control it, you will be able to dominate the world, becoming invincible throughout history. The box said. Dominate the world, becoming invincible throughout history? Can you kill a reciprocity cultivator? Lu Ming asked. A mere reciprocity cultivator can be killed with a flick of my finger, the box replied. This time, Lu Ming was truly tempted. If he could obtain the body of the human king, would he not be invincible? Would he not be able to flatten the heavenly palace? Reshape the structure of the universe? Then, the taboo sword ancestor Tang Feng saw a corner of the future, saying that there would be a bitter war. Could it be resolved? This was completely feasible. Furthermore, after careful analysis, he found that there were no flaws in the box's words. The arm of the human king instinctively wanted to break the seal and fuse with the other parts of the human king's body to form a complete body. That was why the Yen clan was born. The red stone contained a trace of the human king's bloodline. Anyone in the Yen clan who could fuse with it could freely enter the ancestral mountain and release the arm of the human king. Then, they could take the arm of the human king to search for the other parts of the human king's body. All of this was reasonable and logical. Kid, this is a great opportunity. It's up to you whether you choose or not. If you don't choose, there will naturally be others. After all, there are countless people in the Yen clan. There will always be someone who will come here. Another sentence appeared on the box. Then, it became silent and did not say a word. All right, I'll try. Lu Ming pondered for a long time before nodding in the end. He still decided to try. If he could really gather the body of the human king, he could resolve the crisis of the celestial race in one fell swoop. This way, his family and friends could cultivate in peace. Otherwise, once a great war broke out, no one could say for sure what would happen. No one could guarantee that they would survive the bitter war. Chapter 4601. Lu Ming walked to one of the altars and squeezed out a drop of blood from his finger onto the flame. With a puff, the flame was extinguished. Lu Ming's eyes flickered as he walked to the second altar. Using the same trick, he squeezed out a drop of blood and dripped it onto the flame. Then, the flame was extinguished again. It's really strange. This array is clearly sealing the arm of the human king, but it can be broken with the blood of a human. Lu Ming couldn't help but have a new doubt in his heart. He really couldn't figure out the principle behind this. In the end, Lu Ming shook his head. Let's break the seal first. If there's really any danger, I'll just leave immediately. Puff, puff, soon, the flames on the 8 altars were all extinguished by Lu Ming. However, the surrounding runes didn't react at all. They couldn't see any abnormality in the array being broken. The array is broken just like that? Lu Ming asked the bronze chest. Yes, you can open me now, the bronze chest replied. Lu Ming's eyes flashed. Without hesitation, he condensed 2 big hands with his taboo energy and grabbed the chest from a distance. Then, he opened it. This time, it was very easy. The bronze chest was easily opened. As soon as the bronze chest was opened, an aura spread out from it. This aura was majestic, vast, and ancient. In front of this aura, Lu Ming felt very small. It was as if an ant had to kneel down in front of a divine dragon. Lu Ming circulated his taboo energy with all his might to prevent himself from kneeling down. This aura is too similar to the aura of the Ocean Sect bloodline. However, it's much more vast and superior. Is this the bloodline of the human king? Lu Ming felt his breathing become heavy. After the Ocean Sect fused with the red stone, it emitted a powerful pressure and a figure would appear. That figure wore a crown and a royal robe. It held a royal sword in its hand. It was very likely to be the human king. However, it was far inferior to the aura emitted by the chest in front of him. Lu Ming looked carefully and saw that there was really an arm in the bronze chest. It was a right arm. However, it wasn't made of flesh and blood. Instead, it was made of stone. The chest, why is it a stone arm? Lu Ming asked. It's very normal. This is the self-protection of the human king's arm. Petrification can seal essence energy and slow down the loss of essence energy. The box answered. Lu Ming nodded. Now, he basically believed what the box said. This was because what the box had said was true. After a while, the aura of the human king arm disappeared. Extraordinary returned to ordinary, as if it had really become an ordinary arm made of stone, quietly lying in the chest. Lu Ming walked over, cupped his fists, and bowed deeply to the arm. After all, this was the arm of the human king. It could be said that this was the ancestor of the human race. It was worthy of Lu Ming's bow. After bowing, Lu Ming reached out and grabbed the human king's arm. Out of Lu Ming's expectations, it was very light, only 100 jin or so. Lu Ming originally thought that the arm of a human would be very heavy. Must I gather all the bodies of the human king before I can use it? Can I use it now? Lu Ming muttered. With your conditions, you can actually barely use it. A sentence appeared on the chest. I can use it too? Lu Ming was delighted. Yes, you are very strong, and the power you control is no small matter. You can barely borrow a trace of the human king's arm's power. As long as you circulate your power and let the human king's right arm fuse with your arm, you can temporarily unleash a trace of the human king's arm's power. However, from my observation, you can only use it for a breath's time at most before all of your power is drained. The chest answered. A breath's time? Lu Ming muttered. I just don't know how strong I can unleash. If it's very strong, a breath's time can be used as a trump card. Lu Ming planned to find a chance to give it a try after leaving this place. Chest, how many parts of the human king's body are there? Lu Ming asked. A total of 7 parts, for limbs, head, torso, and heart. The chest said. So many parts, where are they scattered? Do you know? Lu Ming asked. I'm not sure. You have to find it yourself. Don't ask me everything. You have to know that I'm just a chest. The chest said. Lu Ming was speechless. He was really speechless. Where was he going to find it? How big was the chaos universe and the universe ruins? Finding the other 6 parts of the human king's body in the vast chaos universe and the universe ruins was 10,000 times harder than finding a needle in a haystack. In the end, Lu Ming could only put the bronze chest into the chaos ring. Then, he looked around and found nothing else, so he left. Hai Zong was still in the blood pool. Lu Ming guessed that this blood pool contained a trace of blood from the human king's arm. This was definitely a great opportunity for Hai Zong. Lu Ming sat there cross-legged, took out the chaos crystal, and began to absorb and refine it. As he refined the chaos crystal, he waited. A day later, the liquid in the blood pool was completely absorbed by Hai Zong. Hai Zong's aura was constantly rising. Now, he had reached the heavenly god realm. This speed was too shocking. When Lu Ming first met Hai Zong's cultivation was only in the heavenly emperor realm. He was not even in the void god realm. But now, he had reached the heavenly god realm. At the same time, above Hai Zong's head, the figure wearing a crown, wearing a royal robe, and holding a royal sword appeared again, exuding a powerful pressure. Hai Zong's bloodline power was stronger. His potential and talent had also been greatly improved. Is this the human king's bloodline? I wonder how far Hai Zong's cultivation will go in the future. Should I take him as my disciple? Lu Ming's heart skipped a beat. To be honest, Lu Ming was very tempted. Hai Zong's talent and potential were definitely strong. His future achievements were limitless. If he took him as his disciple, he would be a great help to Lu Ming in the future. However, Lu Ming really did not have the time to teach him. Let's bring him back first. Senior Fei Huang and the others can train him. Lu Ming thought. Big brother Lu Ming. Hai Zong retracted his aura and came to Lu Ming's side. Congratulations, Hai Zong. Your cultivation has increased by another level. Now let's go, Lu Ming said. All right. Hai Zong nodded. Although he was a little puzzled as to why they did not enter the mountain to take a look, he admired Lu Ming very much. Whatever Lu Ming said, he would do. Their exit went smoothly. Hai Zong led them through the lifeline of the ancestral mountain and arrived outside. Big brother Lu Ming, where are you going next? Hai Zong asked. I'm going to leave the Heavenly Star continent to travel and adventure, Lu Ming said. Hai Zong's face changed and said, Then, if the heavenly human tribe comes again, what should we do? Chapter 4602. Lu Ming also frowned slightly. This was also what he was worried about. Yiling Tianshou's father was a heavenly venerate. That heavenly venerate definitely knew that Yiling Tianshou was in the Heavenly Star continent. Now that Yiling Tianshou was killed, that heavenly venerate might already know. After all, if a person's soul was tied to an item, the corresponding item would immediately sense it when the person died. This kind of thing already existed in the small world. For example, life tablets. When a person died, the life tablet would shatter. However, such things were relatively rare in the great desolate universe. They were mainly used to create life tablets, which required a trace of soul energy. Although just a trace was enough, it would still affect the soul, causing the soul to be incomplete. This was detrimental to cultivation. Hence, in the great desolate universe, especially some strong outstanding talents, very rarely did this in pursuit of perfection. However, the other party involved a heavenly venerate, who knew if there were other ways to sense Yiling Tianshou's safety. If the other party knew, they would quickly rush over. Even if they could not sense it now, they would discover it sooner or later. It was just a matter of time. After the heavenly venerate discovered it, it would be hard to preserve the Heavenly Star continent under his rage. The Yen race would also find it hard to survive. What should Lu Ming do? This was also what troubled him. Why don't you just use the Great Desolate Ring to move the entire Heavenly Star continent away? Bone Demon's voice came from Xiao Chen's Sea of Consciousness. How is it possible to put the Heavenly Star continent into the Great Desolate Ring? How can I have such a cultivation? Lu Ming said. It was not that he had not thought of this method before. The Great Desolate Ring was indeed big enough. The area inside was definitely larger than the Heavenly Star continent. It was more than enough to store the entire Heavenly Star continent. If Xiao Chen put the Heavenly Star continent into the Great Desolate Ring, he could make it float above the Great Desolate Ring. This was because the Great Desolate Ring was completely under Lu Ming's control. However, Xiao Chen could not do it. If he wanted to put the entire Heavenly Star continent into the Great Desolate Ring, he would need a lot of strength to control the Great Desolate Ring. With his current cultivation, it was not enough. Even if he broke through to the third layer Divine Master realm, it was far from enough. Didn't you just obtain the Human King's arm and want to test its strength? Isn't this a good time to try it? Use the Human King's arm's strength to control the Great Desolate Ring and see if you can put the Heavenly Star continent into it. Guemo said. Lu Ming pondered. That's right, the arm of a Human King. He had almost overlooked it. It might really work. Lu Ming decided to give it a try. However, there was still some preparation work to be done before the experiment. Immediately, Lu Ming and Hai Zong returned to the deep lake abyss. Lu Ming told Defiant God Heaven his idea. The reason why he told Defiant God Heaven was that he wanted him to help stabilize the hearts of the people. Otherwise, if the Heavenly Star continent was suddenly sucked into the Great Desolate Ring, the entire Yen race would be in chaos. When Against God's Heaven and the others heard Lu Ming's idea, they were dumbfounded. This idea was simply too crazy. The Stellar Sky continent was so vast, and its territory was incomparably vast. How could such a huge world be stored in a ring? Was that even possible? Fortunately, it was Lu Ming who said it. If it was someone else, they would probably despise them. Is this really okay? Defiant God Heaven was still skeptical. No matter what, we have to give it a try. Otherwise, when the stronger experts of the heavenly human race arrive, the Yen race will definitely be annihilated. The entire Stellar Sky continent might not be preserved, Lu Ming said. Alright, then let's give it a try. Senior Lu Ming, Go ahead and do it. Leave the matter of stabilizing the hearts of the people to us. Defiant God Heaven Tao. Lu Ming did not delay any longer. He soared into the sky and rushed into the sky above the stellar sky continent. Looking down from afar, the stellar sky continent seemed to have become the size of a table. Lu Ming took out the great desolate ring and injected forbidden energy. The great desolate ring floated in the air, and a huge vortex appeared above the stellar sky continent. The vortex emitted a strong attractive force, but this attractive force was far from enough to suck the stellar sky continent in. Let's try the human king's right arm. Lu Ming's mind moved, and the bronze box appeared in his hand. He opened the bronze box and took out the human king's right arm. Merge! Lu Ming shouted and injected forbidden energy into the human king's right arm. Buzz! The human king's right arm vibrated, and a hazy radiance spread from it. Then, it turned into a ray of light and merged with Lu Ming's right arm. One could see that Lu Ming's right arm overlapped with the human king's right arm. At this moment, Lu Ming felt an incomparably strong energy spreading from his right arm to his entire body. This was especially true for his right arm. The energy was even stronger. Lu Ming had a feeling that he could shatter the stellar sky continent with a single punch. However, his expression changed in the next moment. This was because he felt all the forbidden energy in his body rushing towards his right arm. At this speed, it would take at most one breath for all the energy in his body to be sucked dry. Great desolate ring, collect it! Lu Ming roared and controlled the energy in his right arm with all his might, injecting this energy into the great desolate ring. This was also because the great desolate ring was of an extremely high grade. If it were any other weapon, such a strong influx of energy would have directly exploded. When this energy entered the great desolate ring vibrated intensely and emitted a dazzling radiance. That whirlpool suddenly became bigger, covering the sky and the sun. It enveloped the entire stellar sky continent. A strong suction force enveloped the stellar sky continent. The stellar sky continent immediately shook and flew towards the great desolate ring. Furthermore, it quickly shrank and flew into the great desolate ring, disappearing. Success! Lu Ming was overjoyed. He immediately kept the human king's right arm and stored it in the bronze box. Hoo-hoo, Lu Ming panted heavily. In that short moment, 90% of his energy had been sucked out by the human king's right arm. The bronze box said that with his cultivation, he could control the human king's right arm for at most one breath's time. It seemed like it was true. Right now, his condition was extremely bad. Any random divine lord could take his life. Of course, he still had Qiuqiu to protect him. Right now, there was no time to recover his cultivation. Lu Ming's spiritual consciousness condensed in the great desolate ring. The stellar sky continent was suspended high in the sky. It was very far from the original great desolate continent. There wouldn't be too much of an impact between them. From Lu Ming's perspective, it seemed like he was looking at two different skies. Not bad, not bad. It's good that it won't affect the original great desolate continent. If it does, I'll have to find a place to release the stellar sky continent. Lu Ming smiled. At this moment, the stellar sky continent was in chaos. In the eyes of the stellar sky continent's Yen tribe, it felt as if the stars had changed. This naturally caused them to panic. However, God-defying heaven was already prepared. They were sending people to calm the people down. Lu Ming didn't need to care about what happened next. Lu Ming withdrew from the great desolate ring. Then, he took out a piece of great desolate crystal and absorbed the energy within. At the same time, his body turned into a beam of light and flew out, leaving this place. Chapter 4603. He could no longer stay in this region. Lu Ming left and flew into the distance. As he flew, he absorbed desolation crystals to replenish his energy. Along the way, he passed by several barren continents, but Lu Ming did not stop. This place was still too far from the original location of the Heavenly Star continent. If Yiling Tianqiu's father arrived and a heavenly venerate went berserk, the nearby continents would also be affected. Lu Ming planned to fly further away. After flying for a day and a night, Lu Ming finally stopped on a barren continent and found a secluded place. Lu Ming sat down cross-legged, took out desolation crystals, and quickly absorbed them. Before long, Lu Ming's cultivation finally recovered to its peak state. Now, where should I go? A human king's body has no direction. Lu Ming pondered. Returning to the Heaven Destroyer Station was clearly not what Lu Ming wanted. He had not been out for long, and Xian Yanqing and the others were definitely still in seclusion. In the end, Lu Ming decided to continue adventuring in the ruins of the universe. He would cultivate as he traveled. After his trip to the Heavenly Star Continent, Lu Ming was even more certain that only by constantly adventuring could his cultivation continue to rise. If he had not come to the Heavenly Star Continent to travel, how could Lu Ming's cultivation have risen to the second layer of the Divine Master Realm so quickly? Moreover, he had around 120,000 desolation crystals, enough for him to break through several layers. Furthermore, Qiuqiu had reached the third layer of the Divine Master Realm. This was something that could not be achieved in the peaceful seclusion of the Heaven Destroyer Station. According to the corner of the future that the Forbidden Sword ancestor Tang Feng had seen, there would be a great war in the near future. He did not have much time left, so he had to make the best use of his time and raise his cultivation as quickly as possible. At the very least, he had to be at the Origin Realm before the Great War. Although Divine Masters could be called peak experts of the primitive universe, once a great war erupted that involved the universe, Divine Masters would not be enough. They could fall at any time. Only those at the Origin Realm could barely protect themselves. He had to reach the Origin Realm as soon as possible. The Heavenly Star Continent should be the core of the Heavenly Star Continent. Even if there are opportunities in the other continents, there should not be many. Now that the Heavenly Star Continent has been stored in my Desolation Ring, there is no longer any place for me to stay. I should go to other regions. Where should I go? Lu Ming pondered. In the end, Lu Ming decided to go to the depths of the Heavenly Star Continent. The deeper one went into the ruins of the universe, the more dangerous it would be, but the more opportunities there would be. However, before heading to the depths of the universe ruins, Lu Ming still needed to be in seclusion for a while. Shao Chen had to raise his cultivation first. He could not afford to waste the 120,000 great desolate crystals on hand. Whoosh! Lu Ming cast the transference skill and left this place, flying further away. Heavenly, 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 heavenly heavens, heavens, heavenly heavens! This was someone from the Celestial clan. His hair and beard were all white, but his aura was like a deep sea, incomparably terrifying. Tianshou! Tianshou! God damn it! Who killed you? The old man roared furiously as a terrifying presence permeated the surroundings. Cracks appeared in space, extending into the distance. It was an extremely shocking sight. The old man was Yiling Tianshou's father, an extremely powerful heavenly exalt. There used to be a continent here, but it's gone now. Apart from Origin Realm existences, no one has the strength to do so. However, it doesn't matter if you're at Origin Realm or some other cultivation realm. You can't escape after killing my son. You will die. I will definitely find out who killed my son! The old man roared furiously. His voice was filled with cold killing intent. After that, he sat down cross-legged. His body glowed, as though he had fused with the entire space. His body was like this space. Nothing in this space could escape his senses. He sensed for 7 days. 7 days later, the old man suddenly opened his eyes. They shone brightly, piercing through space like 2 sharp swords. They pierced 2 holes in an extremely distant desolate continent. Forbidden power! A forbidden power appeared on the Heavenly Star Continent not long ago. Who is it? Tang Feng or Fei Huang? No, the remnant forbidden power is very weak. It's only at the level of a divine master. It's not the 2 of them. It's Lu Ming. Yes, it must be that little bastard. The old man's voice was extremely cold. It had to be said that this person's methods were truly unfathomable. Even Lu Ming had never thought that this person would still be able to sense the remnant presence in space even after the heavenly star continent had been taken away. He had determined that Lu Ming had been here. The old man was very certain that the person who had killed his son was Lu Ming. Although he did not know what method Lu Ming had used to take away the heavenly star continent, only Lu Ming fit the criteria based on the strength of the forbidden power. "Little bastard, you dare to kill my son? I'll make you suffer a fate worse than death." A terrifying light flickered through the old man's eyes. He then closed his eyes and continued to sense. After a period of time, the old man suddenly opened his eyes and looked towards the depths of the universe ruins. "According to the remnant presence, that kid should have gone to the depths of the universe ruins," the old man whispered, and then turned into a rainbow light, heading towards the depths of the universe ruins. This direction was the direction that Lu Ming had gone. Not long after, the old man came to the continent where Lu Ming had stopped to recover. Could he be hiding here? "Little bastard, get out here!" the old man shouted and stood in the sky above the continent. He looked down from above and blasted out a palm. Suddenly, the power of heavenly punishment erupted. Endless lightning fell from the old man's palm and enveloped the entire continent. Boom! 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 Destructive explosions occurred all over the continent. In the end, the continent even exploded, turning into smaller continents. No one? Could it be that he has already left? The old man frowned and continued to sit cross-legged, probing. After a period of time, the old man opened his eyes and said coldly, "Sure enough, he has already left. Kid, no matter where you escape to, I will catch up to you." After saying that, the old man turned into a rainbow light and chased towards the depths of the universe ruins. After a period of time, he left the heavenly star region and entered the boundless void. However, after chasing for a while in the void, he suddenly stopped. Because Lu Ming's aura had disappeared here. Damn it, what's going on? Why did the aura disappear without a trace after arriving here? What happened? Could it be that the kid encountered a cosmic storm? The old man growled. In fact, his guess was right. Lu Ming had really encountered a cosmic storm. He had left the heavenly star region and planned to go to another region before finding a place to cultivate in seclusion for a period of time. Yiling Tianqiu's father was a heavenly venerable. To Lu Ming, a heavenly venerable was unfathomable and unpredictable. For safety reasons, it was best to stay as far away from the heavenly star region as possible. Chapter 4604. Not long after Lu Ming left the heavenly star region and entered the void, he encountered a cosmic storm. A cosmic storm was a calamity that would only appear in the void of the ruins of the universe. Cosmic storms were extremely terrifying. Once they encountered one, even reciprocity experts would have to avoid it. Even divine lords would have a slim chance of surviving. Lu Ming could only sigh at his bad luck. The region covered by the cosmic storm was just too large. In the end, Lu Ming had no choice but to enter the Chaos Ring. When facing other experts, it was unwise to enter the Chaos Ring to hide. What was the point of leaving the Chaos Ring outside once you entered? Wouldn't you be at the mercy of others? But in the face of such a calamity, the Chaos Ring could be used to hide. The Chaos Ring was one of the 4 supreme treasures of the Heavenly Court. Its grade was even higher than the 18 divine weapons of the Heavenly Court. Its material was indestructible and could block the cosmic storm. However, the Great Desolation Ring was also carried away by the cosmic storm to a very far place. Moreover, the cosmic storm destroyed everything in its path, including Lu Ming's aura. So when Yiling Tianqiu's father chased after him, he lost track of Lu Ming's aura. Lu Ming hid in the Chaos Ring for an unknown amount of time before the outside world calmed down. Lu Ming guessed that the cosmic storm had already passed before Lu Ming came out of the Chaos Ring. Where am I? Lu Ming was at a loss. He discovered that he seemed to have entered a new area. However, he had no idea which area it was exactly. Lu Ming took out a map and looked at it for a while. He was at a loss. After all, even if he had a map, he needed to know where he was. If he didn't even know where he was, it was useless even if he had a map. Forget it. No matter where I am, I should be very far away from the heavenly star region. I'll find a place to cultivate in peace. Lu Ming pondered. Before long, he found a desolate continent. He entered the continent and began to absorb and refine the chaos crystals. On the other side, Yiling Tianqiu's father was extremely unwilling to lose track of Lu Ming. In the end, he continued to fly into the depths of the ruins of the universe. If he did not kill Lu Ming and avenge Yiling Tianqiu, he would not be satisfied. However, he had already deviated from Lu Ming's direction. One after another, Lu Ming absorbed and refined the great desolate crystals. In a spurt of energy, Lu Ming refined more than 3,000 desolate crystals. His cultivation finally made another breakthrough, reaching the third level of the Divine Master Realm. I've finally reached the third level of the Divine Master Realm. As expected, I'm much stronger than the second level of the Divine Master Realm. However, the amount of desolation crystals I've consumed is also terrifying. Lu Ming sighed. Lu Ming had used up close to 4,000 primal crystals from the moment he broke through to the third layer of the Divine Master Realm. Luckily, Lu Ming had obtained a huge amount of desolate crystals from the Mountain of Ancestors. Without the fortunate encounter, it would be extremely difficult to gather 4,000 desolate crystals. Reaching the third level of the Divine Master Realm required close to 4,000 desolate crystals. In that case, the amount of desolate crystals required to break through from the third level of the Divine Master Realm to the fourth level of the Divine Master Realm would be even more ridiculous. It might even be above 40,000. According to this pattern, the desolate crystals in Lu Ming's possession would allow Lu Ming to break through to the fourth level of the Divine Master Realm at most. Let's not worry about that for now. I'll think about it after I break through to the fourth level of the Divine Master Realm. Lu Ming decided to raise his cultivation to the point where it could not be raised any further before heading to the depths of the universe ruins. Sharpening the axe would not delay the work of cutting wood. Only with a higher cultivation could he obtain more fortuitous encounters. Lu Ming continued to refine the desolate crystals, but this time, Lu Ming stopped after a short while. He sensed something strange about the human king's arm. With a wave of his hand, the bronze box appeared. He opened the box, and the human king's arm flew out. It was radiating a dazzling light and constantly trembling. Moreover, the arm pointed in a direction. That is... Lu Ming was shocked. Could it be that the other parts of the human king's body are about to appear? At this moment, a line of words appeared on the box. The other parts of the human king's body? Lu Ming was shocked. This is just my speculation, but it is very likely so. The human king's arm has sensed the other parts of the human king's body. Kid, hurry up and head in that direction. Your fortuitous encounter has arrived, the box said. Your fortuitous encounter. Can I cultivate first before going? Lu Ming muttered. He still wanted to raise his cultivation before leaving. You cannot miss this opportunity. If you are late, it will be hard to say. This is a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity. Your fortuitous encounter is very good. You discovered the other parts of the human king's body so quickly. You cannot miss it, the bronze box said. All right then. Lu Ming nodded. He also did not want to miss out on the human king's body. Once he obtained it, he could roam the world and suppress the heavenly palace. This made him very tempted. Swish! Lu Ming soared into the air and headed in the direction the human king's arm was pointing. The palm of the human king's arm was always pointing in one direction. With the guidance of the human king's arm, Lu Ming would not go wrong. However, that place seemed to be very far away from Lu Ming. Lu Ming flew continuously for a month but still did not reach his destination. I am about to enter the 1,000-year battlefield. Lu Ming carefully looked at the map. After a month of flying and judging from a series of reference points, Lu Ming finally knew where he was. He was getting deeper and deeper into the universe ruins. Moreover, he looked at the map and discovered that he would soon reach an important place in the universe ruins, the 1,000-year battlefield. The 1,000-year battlefield was already in the depths of the universe ruins. Moreover, this was a place that the Heaven Destroyer and the Heavenly Palace would fight for. Here, both sides had invested a large number of experts to fight for control of this place. This was because this was an important battlefield in the previous era. In the previous era, the primeval continent was destroyed. This was definitely a place of decisive battle. Therefore, it also contained countless fortuitous encounters. Someone had obtained a complete source-grade divine weapon here. They had also obtained top-notch chi refinement techniques and treasures that contained origin marks. They had even obtained treasures that were even more precious than those above. Therefore, the Heaven Destroyer and the Heavenly Palace had invested a large number of experts to fight for this place. They had been fighting for resources all year round. Both sides had been confronting each other here for more than 10 stellar years. There was no doubt that the 1,000-year battlefield was very dangerous. Previously, Fei Huan had not allowed Lu Ming to come here. Could it be that the other parts of the human king's body are in the swing battlefield? I hope not. Perhaps it's just passing by. Lu Ming muttered, but he was muttering in his heart. If it was really in the 1,000-year battlefield, it would be troublesome. Both sides had invested a large number of experts in the 1,000-year battlefield. There were even many Origin Realm experts. As for Divine Master Realm experts, there were even more. If it was really here, with his cultivation, it would be as difficult as ascending to the heavens to obtain the human king's body. Lu Ming secretly prayed, hoping that it was just passing by. However, when Lu Ming approached the 1,000-year battlefield, the reaction of the human king's arm suddenly disappeared. It returned to calmness and lay quietly in the bronze box. Chapter 4605. What's going on? Why isn't the human king's arm reacting? Lu Ming was a little dumbfounded. He stared at the bronze chest, waiting for an answer. Perhaps the human king's arm is not far ahead, on the 1,000 autumn battlefield you spoke of. Perhaps something happened that caused the human king's arm to temporarily lose its senses. The bronze chest said. Can't you give me a clear answer? Lu Ming was a little speechless. Please, I'm just a chest, the chest replied. Lu Ming was speechless. It looks like I can only stay in the 1,000 autumn battlefield for a while. The other parts of the human king's body can't really be in the 1,000 autumn battlefield, right? Lu Ming felt a headache coming on. He still hoped that it was in some other place. However, the human king's arm had lost its senses here. He could not be sure, so he could only stay here for now. Putting away the human king's arm, Lu Ming took out a map and began to carefully examine it. According to the information he had obtained, the 1,000 autumn battlefield was extremely vast. It was countless times larger than the Heavenly Star continent from before. The core of the 1,000 autumn battlefield was an extremely large continent. There were a few small fragments of continents scattered around this continent. The Heaven Destroyer and the Heavenly Palace each occupied a portion of the continent. They were searching for resources while constantly fighting. What gave Lu Ming a headache was that he did not know which side the Heaven Destroyer occupied. The map only indicated that this was the 1,000 autumn battlefield. As for the regions occupied by the Heaven Destroyer and the Heavenly Palace, they were not marked at all. If he rashly advanced and plunged into the region occupied by the Heavenly Palace, he would be finished. Moreover, there were Origin Realm experts present. Even if he used the Great Imitation Art, it would be seen through. Let's slowly approach and observe from afar. Lu Ming withdrew his aura and used the Great Imitation Art to conceal his own aura. He turned it into the aura of another flame race clansman before slowly flying forward. Before long, a few scattered continents appeared before Lu Ming's eyes. These continents were very small and barren, without any signs of life. Lu Ming even felt a terrifying killing intent and baleful aura from it. Killing intent and infernal energy mixed together, piercing through the void. Even though they were far apart, Lu Ming felt his scalp tingle and his skin prickle with pain. What terrifying killing intent and baleful aura! Is this the battlefield left behind from the last epic's war? Even after so many years, it's still so terrifying. Lu Ming was secretly shocked. The previous era was too far away from the present. No one knew how many years had passed. After so many years, there was still such a terrifying killing intent and baleful aura left behind. It was hard to imagine what kind of experts had participated in the previous era. However, there were no people from the Heaven Destroyer or the Heavenly Palace on these small barren continents. Lu Ming continued forward. That is... Suddenly, Lu Ming's eyes widened. There was a continent in front of him, but what shocked Lu Ming was that it wasn't this continent, but a weapon that pierced through this continent. It was a huge spear that pierced through the center of this continent, and came out from the other side. He could see that this spear had already decayed. There were many dents and holes on it, and it didn't have any spirituality. There was a figure sitting cross-legged on top of the spear. Not good, it's the angel race. Lu Ming's pupils shrank. The figure sitting on top of the spear was covered in a layer of holy light. This was clearly the angel race. Lu Ming definitely wouldn't be mistaken. At this time, that angel race expert also saw Lu Ming. Human race? He's not from our side. Capture him! The angel race expert coldly shouted, and 12 wings suddenly appeared on his back. With a flap of his wings, he turned into a white light and charged at Lu Ming with astonishing speed. This was a 12-winged angel. In the angel race, this was the highest level of talent. The angel race expert was extremely fast. He instantly approached Lu Ming and slashed his resplendent angel war sword at Lu Ming's forehead. Bzzz. Lu Ming retreated rapidly. At the same time, he took out his battle god's spear and swept it across the angelic combat sword. Clang! There was a loud roar and Lu Ming's figure retreated like a meteorite. He spat out a mouthful of blood. 7th level God Lord! Lu Ming's expression was grave. His opponent was a 7th level God Lord, and more importantly, a 12-winged angel. He was extremely powerful. This person was no weaker than Yiling Tianshou. Although Lu Ming had broken through to 3rd level God Lord, he was still no match for this person. A mere 3rd level God Lord was able to block one of my attacks. The expert from the angel race was also astonished. Although he hadn't used his full strength in that attack, it still wasn't something a 3rd level God Lord could block. This man was a monstrous genius. Kill! The angel race expert roared. Sacred light soared into the sky as he erupted with all his strength. 12 angel war swords appeared in the sky, transforming into tens of thousands of sword lights that slashed at Lu Ming. Lu Ming's expression was grave as he retreated, dodging the attacks of these sword lights. But there were too many sword lights, and it was difficult to dodge them all. Some sword lights could only be blocked head-on. But this opponent was too strong. He wasn't someone Lu Ming could deal with. After blocking a few sword lights, Lu Ming's body was covered in wounds, worsening his injuries. I can't stay here. I have to leave as quickly as possible. Various thoughts flashed through Lu Ming's mind. This person was no weaker than Yiling Tianshou. Even if he used his origin energy, he wouldn't be a match for him in a head-on clash. Unless he used the Mortal King arm. But Lu Ming cut off this thought the moment it appeared. Where was this place? It was clear that this was the region of the Heavenly Palace's fighting forces. If he used the Mortal King arm, Lu Ming was 1000% confident that he could kill this person with a single punch. But if he used the Mortal King arm, his own strength would be drained dry. If another Heavenly Palace expert came, he would be finished. The best thing to do now was to retreat as quickly as possible and throw this person off his tail. But the angel race relied on their angel wings to move very quickly. Lu Ming wanted to throw off his opponent, but he couldn't do it for the time being. If this continued, not only would he not be able to throw off his opponent, the slightest lapse in concentration would result in his death. Lu Ming, let me help! Qiuqiu called out. Wait a little longer, Lu Ming said. Qiuqiu's target was rather obvious. Many people knew that Lu Ming had a metallic life form like Qiuqiu. Once Qiuqiu took action, his opponent would easily guess his identity. His opponent clearly hadn't guessed his identity. Die! The angel race expert roared. Thousands of sword lights converged into 3 terrifying sword lights, slashing at Lu Ming's 3 vital points. At this moment, 3 lotus flowers suddenly appeared in the void. The 3 white lotuses spun rapidly and blocked the 3 sword lights from the angels. "Who is it?" the angel race expert shouted as he looked in a direction. In that direction, a beautiful woman stepped on the air. Xian Yanjuan. Chapter 4606. The newcomer was actually Xian Yanjuan. Lu Ming revealed a look of pleasant surprise. Speaking of which, he hadn't seen Xian Yanjuan for many years. Ever since Xian Yanjuan and Xian Yanqing had left together, he hadn't seen Xian Yanjuan again. Even when he was in Zenith's supreme immortal city, Xian Yanjuan hadn't appeared. Later on, he had asked Xian Yanqing about Xian Yanjuan, and Xian Yanqing had said that Xian Yanjuan had been bitterly cultivating in the depths of the universe's ruins. He hadn't expected to meet her here in the 1,000-year battlefield. "It's you? You want to stop me with just you? I'm afraid that's not enough," the angel expert said. "How would you know if you don't try?" Xian Yanjuan said coldly, her body shrouded in a holy light. It looked a little like the holy light of the angels. However, Xian Yanqing's power wasn't the holy light of the angels. Instead, it was a higher-level power, as holy as an immortal's. She stepped on the void, and with every step, a lotus flower condensed. Finally, it turned into thousands of white lotus flowers that flew toward the angel expert. "Break for me!" the angel expert shouted and slashed out with his angelic battle sword. Tens of thousands of sword chi burst forth and collided with the white lotuses. The white lotuses were split into 2 halves. "Xian Yanjuan isn't her match!" Lu Ming's heart skipped a beat. Xian Yanjuan's cultivation was very strong. She had reached the 4th level of the Divine Lord realm. As expected of someone who had been bitterly cultivating in the depths of the universe's ruins. Coupled with the fusion of her memories from 2 lifetimes, her cultivation speed was truly astonishing. Lu Ming had a fortuitous encounter, and was only at the 3rd level of the Divine Lord realm, but Xian Yanjuan had already reached the 4th level. However, there was a difference of 3 levels between a 4th-level Divine Lord realm and an angel expert. Although Xian Yanjuan was incomparably monstrous, she wasn't her match. The 2 exchanged a few blows, and Xian Yanjuan kept retreating. "Take both of you down!" the angel race's powerhouse shouted loudly. His battle sword swept out and slashed towards Xian Yanjuan unceasingly. "Flying immortal sword!" Xian Yanjuan shouted. Tens of thousands of lotus flowers formed a river of swords. It was like a flying immortal. It came from the void. With a bang, the angel's sword was sent flying. "This is a good chance." "Qiu, do it!" Lu Ming shouted in a low voice. He unleashed the heaven-breaking technique. He became one with his spear, and transformed into a dazzling spear light that pierced toward the angel expert. Meanwhile, Qiu turned into a mirror and shot out a beam of light that enveloped the angel powerhouse. The angel powerhouse's eyes went blank for a moment. That was enough. Lu Ming was like a bolt of lightning, his spear light piercing through the angel race expert's forehead. Roar! At this critical moment, the angel powerhouse seemed to have sensed danger. He let out a loud roar, and a violent energy surged out like a tidal wave. Buzz! The powerful energy collided with the war god's spear, causing it to vibrate continuously. Its forward momentum was forcefully stopped. Origin! With a thought, Lu Ming circulated his origin energy and rushed into the war god's spear. It erupted, triggering the power of the war god's spear. Instantly, the power of the war god's spear increased greatly. It broke through the angel powerhouse's power and continued to pierce forward. "How is this possible?" the angel powerhouse roared. He was incomparably shocked. Although he was affected by the beam of light just now and his mind went blank for a moment, he naturally couldn't unleash his full power in a hasty attack. However, it should be more than enough to block or even send Lu Ming flying. He didn't expect Lu Ming's attack to suddenly increase. At this critical moment, the angel powerhouse could only use his angel wings to block in front of him. Pooh! The war god's spear pierced through 2 angel wings in succession. Feathers flew everywhere, and blood flowed out. However, the angel powerhouse also used this opportunity to block Lu Ming's attack. However, Lu Ming wasn't the only one present. Xian Yanjuan was also present. How could Xian Yanjuan miss this opportunity? Flying immortal sword! A delicate shout rang out. A sword light pierced towards the angel powerhouse like a flying immortal. In the next moment, the angel powerhouse was sent flying. One of his wings was forcefully chopped off. Feathers flew everywhere, and blood splattered everywhere. Not only that, but a deep wound had also appeared on that man's chest. It had nearly split his body in half. He spat out a few mouthfuls of blood. His face was pale, but his eyes were filled with resentment and killing intent. You guys, just you wait! The angel powerhouse roared angrily and quickly fled. In the blink of an eye, he disappeared without a trace. Xian Yanjuan and Lu Ming didn't chase after him. Since Xian Yanjuan didn't chase after him, Lu Ming naturally wouldn't chase after him. He wasn't familiar with this place and didn't want to chase into the Heavenly Palace's nest. Xian Yanjuan, I trust you've been well since we last met. Lu Ming smiled. His appearance and aura began to change, turning into Lu Ming's original appearance and aura. It's really you! Xian Yanjuan wasn't surprised to see Lu Ming. With her intelligence, she could guess a thing or two from the previous fight. Remember, my name is Tang Jun, not Xian Yanjuan. Xian Yanjuan, no, Tang Jun, added another sentence. Lu Ming touched his nose speechlessly. Sure enough, Xian Yanqing and Xian Yanjuan's states were completely different. Although the two of them had merged the memories of 2 lifetimes, the way they did it was completely different. Xian Yanjuan's memories of his previous life took the initiative and devoured the memories of his current life. Therefore, Xian Yanjuan's essence was that of his previous life. Tang Jun Xian Yanqing's memories of his current life took the initiative and devoured the memories of his previous life. Therefore, Xian Yanqing was still that of his current life, Xian Yanqing. Lu Ming, why did you come to the 1,000-year battlefield alone? Tang Jun asked. I was adventuring in the ruins of the universe and accidentally came here, Lu Ming said. Tang Jun didn't delve into it. He nodded and said, Let's leave this place first. This is the border between our territory and the Heavenly Palace's territory. I'm afraid they'll send experts here. After saying that, Tang Jun turned around and left. Lu Ming followed. Lu Ming, you're lucky. You only came to the border between the 2 sides. If you plunged into the Heavenly Palace's territory, I can only mourn for you, Tang Jun said. I still have to thank you for your help. Otherwise, I wouldn't have been able to escape. Lu Ming smiled and flattered him. He had just arrived at the 1,000-year battlefield and still had many things to learn. Naturally, he had to rely on Tang Jun. Soon, the 2 of them arrived on a continent. On the way, Lu Ming also asked some questions and learned some things. The Heavenly Extermination Army and the Heavenly Palace each occupied a territory, and this area was the border between the 2 territories. Both sides had sent experts to guard and patrol this area. Lu Ming just happened to walk to the area near the Heavenly Palace and ran into the angel race expert. Fortunately, Tang Jun was also patrolling around. When he heard the commotion, he rushed over and saved Lu Ming. The 1,000-year battlefield is mainly dominated by the main continent. It's vast and boundless. Around the main continent, there are many small continent fragments. Experts are sent to patrol these small continent fragments. The main reason is to prevent the enemy's experts from launching a sneak attack. Once they discover the enemy's experts launching a sneak attack, they can spread the news and let everyone prepare for defense, Tang Jun explained. Chapter 4607. Xie. Tang Jun, can you tell me the exact situation of the swing battlefield? Lu Ming asked. If you want to know the exact situation of the swing battlefield, look at the map first. With that, Tang Jun took out a jade talisman. The jade talisman glowed and a map appeared in the air. At the center of the map was an extremely huge continent. Lu Ming knew that this should be the main continent of the Thousand Autumn battlefield. Many smaller fragments of the continent hovered around the continent. Our Heaven Destroyer occupies a small portion of the southern region, while the Heavenly Palace occupies the northern region. Do you see those white and red dots? Tang Jun asked. Lu Ming nodded. Sure enough, there were a few white and red dots scattered across the swing battlefield. The ones in the south were red dots, while the ones in the north were white dots. These red dots were connected by red lines, while the white dots were also connected by white lines. These dots are the strongholds and forts occupied by the two sides. The geography of the main continent of the Thousand Autumn battlefield is extremely complicated. Most of the territories are extremely dangerous. Those pitch-black and blurry territories are the dangerous territories. Tang Jun said. So many dangerous territories. Lu Ming was surprised. This was because he discovered that most of the main continent was pitch-black, separated by red and white lines. That's right. The Thousand Autumn battlefield, as its name implies, is an ancient battlefield. It was a terrifying battlefield from the last epoch. Who knows how many experts have died here, and who knows how powerful they were. In short, even after countless years, this battlefield is still filled with terrifying killing intent and a terrifying baleful aura. That's not all. The Thousand Autumn battlefield has also nurtured many insects. Many of these insects are extremely terrifying. In particular, these insects will become extremely berserk in the baleful aura and killing intent. Their battle prowess will skyrocket as well. Even reciprocity experts will face the danger of dying if they enter these places. As a result, these places are forbidden grounds. Of course, there will be places where the baleful aura and killing intent will be weaker in these dangerous regions. These places are much safer. The white and red lines you see are the places where the baleful aura and killing intent are weaker. Like that, they form a relatively safe passage. The white and red dots are the safest places. They are often sandwiched between several dangerous regions. As a result, these safe regions have become important locations. They're crucial points for the two sides to fight over. Tang Jun explained in detail. I see. Lu Ming nodded. He understood that these important locations were like the fortresses of mortal kingdoms. For example, in mortal kingdoms, there would be a passage in the mountains. A city would be built in the passage, and that city would be a fortress. This was because it was impossible to pass through the mountains. The only way to pass through the fortress was through it. Once the fortress was blocked, even an army of thousands would not be able to pass through. The white and red dots here were equivalent to fortresses. The more fortresses one occupied, the larger the territory one occupied. The white and red lines were the passageways. Lu Ming observed carefully and discovered that the Heavenly Palace occupied slightly more territory than the Heaven Destroyer because there were more white dots. These dangerous regions may seem dangerous, but they contain endless fortuitous encounters. The main fortuitous encounters of the Thousand Autumn battlefield are in these dangerous regions, Tang Jun said. Since these regions are so dangerous, where even reciprocity experts face the danger of dying, how are we supposed to find the fortuitous encounters? Lu Ming asked. That's the crux of the matter. These regions are filled with terrifying killing intent and baleful qi, but these killing intent and baleful qi do not always exist. Every once in a while, the killing intent and baleful qi in a certain region will recede, and after a while, they will reappear. As long as the killing intent and baleful qi recede, the insects will not be as violent and terrifying. At that time, we can enter these regions to explore. Over the years, we have obtained a large amount of cultivation resources and treasures from these regions. However, the time at which the killing intent and baleful qi recede is different in each region. How long it recede is different as well. That will depend on the specifics, Tang Jun explained. Lu Ming finally understood why the Heaven Destroyer and the Heavenly Palace occupied those fortresses. The more territory they occupied, the more resources they would obtain. As long as they occupied a territory, they could slowly wait for the killing intent and baleful chi to recede. Then, they could send people in to explore and obtain the resources within. For example, desolate crystals were materials for forging source-grade divine weapons. They could even be complete source-grade divine weapons or treasures that contained origin imprints. These resources, no matter to which side, were crucial strategic resources. The more resources they obtained, the more experts they could produce. According to Lu Ming's knowledge, the Thousand Autumn battlefield was definitely an extremely important place in the last epoch. Otherwise, there would not have been such an intense battle. This region was most likely a blessed land in the desolate continent of the last epoch. Many experts had established their cave abodes in this region. As a result, any region of the Thousand Autumn battlefield could contain the cave of an expert from the last epoch. There would be great fortuitous encounters there. Over the years, the treasures that both sides had obtained from the Thousand Autumn battlefield had reached an astonishing level. As a result, both sides had invested more and more experts in this place. Those fortresses are places that both sides must fight for. Occupying one more fortress is equivalent to occupying a wider area of land. Therefore, both sides have deployed many experts to guard these fortresses. Fierce battles break out over these fortresses all year round. Of course, those who can guard these fortresses and participate in these battles are all existences at the Divine Master level or above. Tang Jun explained. It seems that whether it's the Heaven Destroyer or the Heavenly Palace, the true number of experts is far beyond my imagination. Lu Ming sighed. Back when the Taishang Immortal City appeared, both the Heaven Destroyer and the Heavenly Palace had mobilized a large number of Divine Masters. Those Divine Masters were most likely only a portion of both sides. This was because both sides had a large number of experts fighting and confronting each other in the ruins of the universe. For example, the experts in the Thousand Autumn battlefield could not leave at all. Once one side withdrew a large number of experts, the other side would take the opportunity to counterattack and occupy a large territory. For existences above the Divine Master realm, the Thousand Autumn battlefield was more important than the Taishang Immortal City. Losing the Thousand Autumn battlefield was a greater loss. And in the ruins of the universe, there was more than one place like the Thousand Autumn battlefield. Therefore, Lu Ming had no idea how strong the Heaven Destroyer and the Heavenly Palace were. After all, the Heavenly Palace still had the Dark Universe to guard. End of chapter. Chapter 4608. And then there are the fragments around the main continent. In order to gain territory, both sides will send people to attack the fragments from time to time. As a result, whether it's the forts or the fragments around the main continent, there are experts guarding them. I watch over this fragment. I take turns, and each person watches over it for 100 years. You've come at the right time. In another 3 days I'll have watched over it for 100 years. At that time, I'll be able to return to the main continent and take you there. Tang Jun said. Lu Ming nodded, but his gaze was fixed on the center of the main continent. There was a region in the center of the main continent. It was pitch black and blurry, and it occupied an extremely large area. It was almost half the size of the main continent. Moreover, there was not a single white or red line in such a large region, nor was there a single white or red dot. Instead, there were a few white or red dots in the surroundings of the region. This region is the core battlefield of the main continent. It's extremely dangerous and terrifying. It's filled with shocking killing intent and baleful aura all year round, and it nurtures many terrifying venomous insects. When the killing intent and baleful aura surges, even reciprocity experts will die if they enter. In the past, a reciprocity expert from the Heavenly Palace was bitten to death by a mosquito in the core battlefield. Tang Jun said. Lu Ming gasped. So the reciprocity expert bitten to death by a mosquito that Fei Huang spoke of happened in the 1,000-year battlefield. Of course, danger comes with opportunity. This core battlefield was the center of the battle of the last epoch, so it contains the most opportunities. There are source-grade weapons, treasures with origin imprints, peak chi cultivation techniques, and even treasures of a higher level than source-grade weapons. Even Origin Realm experts would fight for these treasures with their lives on the line. Every once in a while, the killing intent and baleful aura in the core battlefield will recede. At that time, a large number of experts from the two great organizations will enter to explore. Tang Jun explained. Lu Ming was also interested. If he came across a few fortuitous encounters in a place like this, he would benefit endlessly. It would be normal for his cultivation to skyrocket. Lu Ming settled down there afterwards. 3 days passed in the blink of an eye. 3 days later, an old man arrived. This old man had a dense aura. He was a 7th-level divine master. The most peculiar thing was that this old man looked similar to a human, but he had 2 heads. One head had pitch-black skin and pitch-black hair, while the other head had snow-white skin and snow-white hair. What race is this? Lu Ming muttered in his heart. He had never seen or heard of such a race before. Senior Tianwei! Tang Jun cupped his fists at the old man. Don't call me senior. I should be the one calling you senior. The 2 heads of the old man named Tian Yu shook repeatedly. He knew that Tang Jun was the daughter of the taboo sword ancestor. In terms of seniority and age, she was higher than him. 100 years have passed. Leave this continent to this old man. Miss Tang Jun can return to the main continent now, Tian Yu said. It was obvious that Tian Yu was here to take over the shift. Although Tianwei curiously sized up Lu Ming a few times, she did not ask much. Then I'll leave it to you. Tang Jun cupped her fists, and then she left this continent with Lu Ming and flew toward the main continent. Are you very curious as to what race Tianwei is from? Tang Jun suddenly asked on the way. One had to admit that this woman was abnormally intelligent. She could tell what Lu Ming was thinking at a glance. Yes, I'm very curious. I've never heard of such an appearance, Lu Ming said. It's normal that you haven't heard of it. She's from the Heaven and Earth race. In the distant past, the Heaven and Earth race was renowned throughout the primitive universe. They were ranked in the top 10 of the primitive 10,000 races roll. Tang Jun said. The top 10 races. Lu Ming was somewhat shocked. Yes, the top 10 races. At their peak, the Heaven and Earth race was extremely powerful. They were even stronger than the current Angels and Blood race. However, in the end, the Heavenly Palace suspected that the Heaven and Earth race had colluded with the Life Spirit Heavenly Court at that time. They sent experts to destroy the Heaven and Earth race in one fell swoop. The prosperous Heaven and Earth race was destroyed. Only a few of them survived. They hid in the dark, waiting for an opportunity to take revenge. Tang Jun explained. They were destroyed by the Heavenly Palace again. There was a cold light in Lu Ming's eyes. He thought of the Heavenly Palace's Heavenly Heart race. At their peak, they were also one of the top 10 races of that era, but they were also destroyed by the Heavenly Palace. Throughout the long history of the primitive universe, there were many powerful races that were ranked in the top 10, but many of them were destroyed by the Heavenly Palace in the end. Those who were lucky enough to survive hated the Heavenly Palace and wanted to take revenge, so they joined the Heaven Destroyer in the end. Otherwise, how could the Heaven Destroyer really fight against the Heavenly Palace? The birth of the Heaven Destroyer was also caused by the unrighteousness of the Heavenly Palace. Tang Jun said. Lu Ming nodded. He had always suspected that the Heaven Destroyer was created by the Forbidden Sword ancestor Tang Feng and Fei Huang. It had only been a few dozen stellar years. How could it have the strength to fight against the Heavenly Palace? Now, he finally understood. Over the long years, the Heavenly Palace had made too many enemies for itself. There were many of the top 10 races that had been destroyed in history. These races were very talented, and after many years of dormancy and development, their strength could not be underestimated. These races had all joined the Heaven Exterminating Army. In addition to the primitive Divine Spirit and the descendants of the primitive Divine Spirit, as well as the top elites like Tang Feng and Fei Huang, their strength was already very shocking and terrifying. That was why they could fight against the Heavenly Palace for such a long time. You can also see other top 10 races in the 1,000-year battlefield. Tang Jun smiled. Soon, they arrived at a stronghold on the main continent. On the main continent, flying was not allowed. They had to pass through the strongholds and move along the areas where killing intent and evil spirits were weak. If they accidentally entered those areas that were full of killing intent and evil spirits, it would be very dangerous. From this stronghold, they passed through several other strongholds and finally arrived at a huge city. This huge city was very ancient. It was said to have been left behind from the last epoch. The walls were made of special rocks and were extremely tough. Even Origin Realm experts would need to put in a lot of effort to break through them. This place had become the most important stronghold of the Heaven Destroyer in the 1,000-year battlefield. Many experts had gathered here. Once a stronghold was attacked by the Heavenly Palace, this place could immediately send out reinforcements. So many experts! As soon as he arrived at this ancient city, Lu Ming felt a great pressure. This was because he could feel that there were terrifying auras everywhere in this ancient city. These auras came from various experts. Most of them were at the Almighty Realm. Lu Ming sensed carefully. There were hundreds of Almighty Realm auras. Some of these auras were extremely terrifying. They were no weaker than the Lord of Heaven of the Heavenly Palace. However, he did not sense any Origin Realm auras. This was natural. Origin Realm experts had to hide their auras, so Lu Ming could not sense them. Chapter 4609. Lu Ming, come with me. I'll introduce you to someone. Tang Jun led Lu Ming in a certain direction. Lu Ming was a little curious. Who was it that Tang Jun wanted to introduce him to? Soon, they arrived at a courtyard. The courtyard wasn't big. There was a man inside with his back facing them. He was fishing by a small pond. You're here. The man obviously sensed Lu Ming and Tang Jun. He got up and turned around. You're Taboo's sword ancestor. Lu Ming's pupils shrank when he saw the man. He couldn't help but exclaim. Taboo's sword ancestor Tang Feng was a legendary figure in Heaven Destroyer. Although most people hadn't seen him in person, they had seen his portrait and statue. Lu Ming had also seen him. This man looked almost exactly like Taboo's sword ancestor Tang Feng. That was why Lu Ming exclaimed. Could it be that Taboo's sword ancestor Tang Feng was in this 1,000-year battlefield? No, they're different. There are some differences in their facial features. Slowly, Lu Ming calmed down. He found that although the young man in front of him looked very similar to Taboo's sword ancestor Tang Feng, there were still some subtle differences. If it was an ordinary person, it wouldn't be easy for them to notice. However, for a cultivator like Lu Ming, any subtle differences couldn't escape their eyes. He's not my father. His name is Tang Xiao. He's my brother. Tang Jun transmitted his voice to Lu Ming. Lu Ming suddenly realized that this man was the son of Taboo's sword ancestor. He was also the brother of Tang Jun and Xian Yanqing. You're Lu Ming? Tang Xiao's eyes were like two stars. He stared at Lu Ming as if he wanted to see through Lu Ming. Yes. Lu Ming clasped his hands in greeting. He wanted to say something courteous, but didn't know where to begin. Tang Xiao's face was dark, and he looked like he was in a bad mood. He forced himself to swallow the words he was about to say. Forbidden body. Your talent is not bad. You are worthy of Shao Qing. It's just that your cultivation is too low. You have to raise your cultivation as soon as possible. Tang Xiao said. When he spoke, his face was still gloomy, and there was no trace of a smile. Yes. Lu Ming cupped his fists and said. After all, this was a senior who had lived for dozens of stellar years and was Xian Yanqing's brother. Even if his attitude was unpleasant, Lu Ming could only pretend that he did not see it. Moreover, Tang Xiao gave Lu Ming an unfathomable feeling. It was as though he was a bottomless pit. Lu Ming knew that Tang Xiao was probably at reciprocity. Lu Ming could not help but prostrate himself in admiration towards the Taboo sword ancestor Tang Feng. Needless to say, Tang Feng's own cultivation base naturally didn't need to be said. He didn't even know what step he had reached. And some of his juniors were also excessively strong. Lu Ming now knew that Tang Feng had 3 disciples. The first was Tian Jian, the second was Xin Jian, and the third was Demon Jian. They were all at reciprocity. Now Tang Feng's son, Tang Xiao, was also at reciprocity. As for Xian Yanqing and Tang Jun's previous lives, they were also at reciprocity. The 6 juniors were all at reciprocity. This level of teaching made Lu Ming blush with shame. Thinking of his disciples, Lu Ming sighed in his heart. Second sister, take Lu Ming to familiarize himself with the terrain and find a place for him to stay. I still have things to do, Tang Xiao said to Tang Jun, and returned to the pond to fish by himself. Lu Ming, let's go! Tang Jun winked at Lu Ming and the two left. Lu Ming, do you think that Tang Xiao is very difficult to get along with? On the way, Tang Jun suddenly asked. Well, a little, Lu Ming stammered. After all, the other party was Xian Yanqing's brother. It was indeed difficult for him to speak, especially when he spoke ill of him behind his back. Actually, he's cold on the outside but warm on the inside. He's a very nice person. And he wasn't like this in the past. He used to be just like his name, very fond of smiling. Xiao Qing, third demon Jian, and I love to play with him and go on adventures with him, Tang Jun said and sighed slightly. Then why now? Lu Ming was puzzled. It's because his mother was killed by the heavenly human race. That's why his temperament changed drastically. From then on, he didn't smile anymore. He only wanted to flatten the heavenly palace and get rid of the heavenly human race. Tang Jun said. Isn't his mother your and Xiao Qing's mother? Lu Ming asked in surprise. No, little Qing and I share the same father and mother. However, Tang Xiao and I share the same father but different mothers. My father had 2 wives in his lifetime, Gu Chunwei and Yi Xian. Tang Xiao's mother is Gu Chunwei, whereas little Qing and I share the same mother, Yi Xian. Back then, my father fought his way out of the small world. Later, my mother and the others also came out of the small world to gain experience. Later, my father embarked on the path to fight against the heavenly palace. However, the process was extremely difficult. During that time, he was besieged by the heavenly palace many times. The price was also heavy. My mother, Tang Xiao's mother, was killed by the heavenly human race. Xiao Qing's and my mother's were also seriously injured. For so many years, my father put us somewhere to recuperate, and never came out of seclusion, Tang Jun explained with deep sorrow in his eyes. Lu Ming also found it difficult to calm down. It was hard to imagine what Forbidden Sword ancestor Tang Feng had experienced after coming out of the small world. The process was definitely extremely difficult. At the same time, Lu Ming was glad that his family was fine during his adventure. In fact, Lu Ming was lucky to be born in a good era. At least in this era, Tang Feng, Fei Huang and the others had become top experts and could protect him. However, in the era when Tang Feng and Fei Huang grew up, there were no top experts to protect them. In that era, the Heavenly Court had already been destroyed. The archaic Divine Court had also been destroyed. The primordial divine spirits and other powerful races that fought against the Heavenly Palace also retreated. The Heavenly Palace was the only one in the universe. It was too difficult to make it out of that era. Even Forbidden Sword ancestor Tang Feng couldn't protect his wife. One died and the other was seriously injured. His mother's death was a huge blow to Tang Xiao. Ever since then, he's never smiled again. Father, on the other hand, is determined to break through to the highest level possible, and bring his mother back from the river of reincarnation, Tang Jun said. Can a dead person be revived? Lu Ming was bewildered. My father once said that it can be done as long as one's cultivation reaches a very high level. However, it's almost impossible to reach that level. It's too difficult. Tang Jun sighed. Lu Ming also sighed in his heart. Forbidden Sword ancestor Tang Feng was a hero of a generation and a glorious era. However, behind this glory, who knew how many sad past events were buried? Not long after, the two came to another courtyard. I used to live here. You can stay here with me for the time being, Tang Jun said. No problem. Lu Ming nodded. Chapter 46:10. You can stay here for now. If there's a region where the killing intent and fiendish chi dissipates, I'll call you over to try your luck, Tang Jun said. The two exchanged a few more words before returning to their rooms. After returning to his room, Lu Ming found it hard to calm down. Even an outstanding genius like the taboo sword ancestor, Tang Feng, had suffered such an enormous blow in the process of his growth. He was unable to even protect his own wife. As for Xiao Chen, with his current strength, he was still far from being able to stand alone against the Heavenly Palace. Would he also experience the same thing in the process? No, I won't allow myself to repeat the taboo sword ancestor's mistakes. I must grasp great strength as quickly as possible. Also, the human king body is a shortcut. Once I grasp it, I can flatten the Heavenly Palace and protect my family. I can't miss this opportunity. Many thoughts flashed through Lu Ming's mind. After a while, Lu Ming gradually calmed down. Then, he took out the great desolate crystals and began to refine them. He still had around 117,000 great desolate crystals on him, enough for him to break through to the fourth layer of the Divine Lord realm. Lu Ming refined one great desolate crystal after another, and Lu Ming's cultivation rapidly rose. The forbidden energy in his body also grew stronger and stronger. It had to be said that condensing the origin seed in advance was a good thing. With a clear direction, he wouldn't get lost. He didn't need to spend time comprehending his realm or searching for a direction. As long as he had energy, his cultivation could continue to rise. In around 10 days, Lu Ming had refined around 50,000 great desolate crystals. His cultivation finally broke through to the fourth layer of the Divine Lord realm. From the early third layer of the Divine Lord realm to the early fourth layer of the Divine Lord realm, he had spent a total of 50,000 great desolate crystals. This number was absolutely astonishing. At the same time, Lu Ming smiled bitterly to himself. Wouldn't breaking through from the fourth layer of the Divine Lord realm to the fifth layer of the Divine Lord realm require more than 500,000 great desolate crystals? Lu Ming felt a headache coming on. 500,000 great desolate crystals? Even if he emptied the ancestral mountain of the Heavenly Star continent, he still wouldn't be able to gather that much. There are still more than 60,000 desolate crystals left. Let's refine them all. At the very least, they should be able to raise my cultivation base and increase my strength, Lu Ming muttered. Then, he took out the desolate crystal and continued to refine it. Several days later, Lu Ming refined another 10,000 or so primal crystals. His cultivation had completely stabilized at the fourth level of the Divine Lord realm. At this moment, he realized that Tang Jun was looking for him. Lu Ming finished his cultivation and walked out of his room. He saw Tang Jun standing in the courtyard. She was slender and elegant, with peerless beauty. If it weren't for the fact that his temperament was different from Xian Yanqing's and his clothes were completely different, he would have thought that he was Xian Yanqing. The two of them looked exactly the same. If Tang Jun becomes my wife and serves me with Xiao Qing, wouldn't that be a beautiful scene? Bah! Lu Ming, what are you thinking? You're really despicable and shameless. Lu Ming slapped himself in the face, dispelling the thought that flashed through his mind. Why did you slap yourself? Tang Jun looked at Lu Ming as if she was looking at an idiot. No, nothing. I was just killing a mosquito. Bah! Damn mosquito. Lu Ming awkwardly found an excuse. Tang Jun looked at Lu Ming strangely. She naturally wouldn't believe such a lousy excuse. At their level, what kind of mosquito could get close to them without being discovered? Your cultivation base has broken through again. Tang Jun looked at Lu Ming as if she was looking at an idiot for a while. Suddenly, her eyes flashed, revealing a shocked expression. Haha, yes! On my way here, I encountered a great opportunity and obtained some desolate crystals. I refined a large amount of desolate crystals to break through. Lu Ming quickly replied and secretly sighed in his heart. If Tang Jun knew what he was thinking, she would probably cut him into pieces. Kid, you're really lucky? However, the more lucky you are, the better. There's an area where the killing intent and evil aura have subsided. I plan to cooperate with you and try my luck. I hope you can bring good luck, Tang Jun said. Okay, that's exactly what I want, Lu Ming said. Since they had come to the Thousand Autumn battlefield, there was no reason for them to stay. If they stayed, how could they improve their cultivation base if they couldn't get any resources? Moreover, the other parts of the human king's body were likely to be on the Thousand Autumn battlefield. Lu Ming naturally wanted to walk around. The area we're going to is called the Forest of Ghosts. Although the evil aura and killing intent have subsided, there are still all kinds of terrifying insects. Therefore, we still need a helper. I'll take you to see someone. He will be very helpful to this trip and is also my partner in exploring the Thousand Autumn battlefield, Tang Jun said. Lu Ming followed Tang Jun and headed north. At the northern gate of the ancient city, they saw an old man. This old man had a very strange appearance. He had the body and appearance of a human, but there were two antennae on his forehead that were very similar to the antennae of an ant. Moreover, there were 6 insect claws on his back. What race is this? Lu Ming muttered in his heart. Another race that he had never seen or heard of. Lu Ming, his name is Lin Yi. He's from the myriad spirit insect race. You may not have heard of the myriad spirit insect race, but a long time ago, their name shook the primitive universe. They were one of the top 10 races of that era. Tang Jun introduced. As expected, it's another one of the top 10 races that disappeared. Lu Ming's heart skipped a beat. Needless to say, the myriad spirit insect race was also destroyed by the Heavenly Palace, and only a few people survived. You're Lu Ming, the Forbidden Body. Haha, I didn't expect that I would be able to cooperate with the Forbidden Body. I hope to make a fortune with your luck, haha. Lin Yi laughed and was very forthright. Senior, you're too polite. Lu Ming is new here, and I still need your guidance, Lu Ming said politely. Lu Ming, you're right about that. Lin Yi is very talented and knows the habits of all kinds of insects like the back of his hand. Moreover, he can sense the insects from far away. It's very helpful in the ghost forest, Tang Jun said. Haha, Miss Tang, don't praise me. If you continue to praise me, I'll become arrogant. Lin Yi laughed. The two sides chatted for a while and became familiar with each other. Then they headed north. The ghost forest was located in the north. They had to pass through 2 other fortresses and set off from the third one. Soon, they crossed the 2 strongholds and entered the Forest of Ghosts. In the ghost forest, there were dark ancient trees, old vines, and weeds everywhere. It was very dense. In the dense forest, there were all kinds of strange-looking insects everywhere. These insects varied in strength. Some were extremely violent, some were bloodthirsty, and some were highly poisonous. Especially in the midst of killing intent and evil spirit, they would become very terrifying. Even though the killing intent and evil spirit had subsided, Lu Ming and the others did not dare to be careless. The 3 of them restrained their aura and flew at a low altitude in the dense forest. You're tuning in to the Phoenix Nights YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories.